Summon Sign is brought to you by you. If you want to learn how to support our show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 78 of Summon Sign Last Stand Media's weekly in-depth game discussion podcast. I am your host, as always, Brad Ellison. Joining me, I have two fine gentlemen. First, we're going to start with Mr. Hoeg, Rick Hoeg of Hoeg Law.
I'm
Rick,
happy to be here. Let's talk about video games.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Exciting.
You always got an interesting list whenever you're on the show. So I appreciate that. It's good. I never know what you're going to bring. So you keep it exciting. And also, we got Mr. Gene Park, Washington Post. He's ready today. He's been itching to talk about this for a while. We're going to get into it. Death Stranding 2. Gene, how are you?
Very, very excited. I'm glad to finally get the review out, and I can finally play Switch 2 games.
Yay!
I can finally focus on something else, but will I? I don't know, because I'm not quite done finishing Death Stranding 2, and there's a lot to talk about. I'm so excited to talk about it. So thank you for having me here again. I was just in Summon Sign last week, and I was like, it's got to make more sense for me to talk about Death Stranding 2 here than on Punching Up, you know?
Yeah, it does. Way more sense. Absolutely. So I'm happy. Thanks for volunteering once again, because I think you're the only person at the company that's played it so far. So it's good to have you on here.
Yep. Sony was a little pickier with review codes, I think, this time. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Before we end the show, everybody, please check us out on patreon.com. Oh, I'm sorry, patreon.com/laststandmedia if you'd like to support us. Leave us a nice rating on your podcast service of choice, whatever you use. YouTube, thumbs up, all that good stuff. Get some merch if you want at laststandmedia.store. Greatly appreciate that. Micah will send it all out to you. We had, what went up? Was it Hybraxia that they did physical versions of?
Yeah, collector's edition. That looks like a Nintendo box. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's very nice. So I think those are all sold out. I have no idea, but thanks everybody for supporting us. Hoeg, how do you do your promotion on your show?
Poorly.
When you go poorly, but subscribe. Thumbs up.
The phrase I tend to use is tickle all of YouTube's buttons.
Whoa.
Which, yes, always raises an eyebrow, because that's the idea, is that you remember it and you think about it and you do the thing.
That's true, yeah.
Because YouTube doesn't care if you like or you downvote. It just likes you to hit its buttons. Any button you can see in front of you, hit it, and the platform will be happy.
Yeah, just interact with it some way. What if you said something like, I don't know, maybe I'll say like caress all the buttons on YouTube. Maybe that'll be even more absurd.
You can use any version of that you like. I just like to have people remember it. And I don't have all the fancy animations. Anybody that's visited my channel knows that they are essentially, hopefully, upsold PowerPoint presentations. I'm not sure how upsold they are. But like, I'm not a professional editor or animator. And so everything is kind of, what can I do to communicate as easily and as swiftly as possible? Yeah.
Well, that's some lawyer skills, I feel like. I feel like a PowerPoint is a very lawyer skill.
My thumbnails are made in... I think that my thumbnails are made in PowerPoint, as a matter of fact.
Wow.
So, I have limited platform mastery. But when I was setting up my channel, it was, what do I know? How can I build this? What do people use? And I was actually really surprised, even when I started, about how technical and kind of clunky it was to get a video up or a stream going. I assumed that there were so many people doing it that it had some kind of intuitiveness. And it's really not there so much.
Yeah. I don't know, but you're doing good work over there. So keep going.
I try.
All right, everybody, let's get into it. Gene, Death Stranding 2 on the beach. So obviously none of us want to know spoilers. Me, Hoeg. Gene doesn't want to spoil us either.
Absolutely,
so we're going to do our best to talk about just broad sense things. I mean, we're going to talk about the game. So if you don't want to literally know anything, I would get out right now, because we're going to talk about, we have to talk about the game to an extent, but we're not going to talk about like main plot and all that kind of stuff.
Nothing about the plot. Literally, I will talk about even less than the trailer showed, because I think the trailer showed a little too much.
I agree, by the way, on that.
Yeah, trust me, I won't show anything more than than maybe like the first or two. I won't talk about anything more than maybe what the first two trailers at most talked about.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll talk about it a little. So, Gene, I guess just first we're going to start with, I guess, just kind of your general vibe around the game. Do you enjoy it more than the first game? Do you think it's better than the first game?
This is a much better game than Death Stranding 1.
Okay, and you already loved the first game.
Not only that, this is Kojima's best game since 2004's Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater. This is his best writing since Snake Eater. This is basically Kojima returning to form, basically. Imagine a game that with the same quality as Sons of Liberty or Snake Eater coming out today.
Wow.
That's Death Stranding 2.
Wow.
I let me make that clear again. This is Kojima at the peak of his powers. This is excellent. This is like if Scorsese came back and made a movie as good as Goodfellas again.
Yeah.
Like, damn.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. Holy
like he
moly.
Still got it. Holy moly.
Yeah, holy moly. I don't know, I guess Death Stranding is such a story-focused game. Obviously, there's a ton of gameplay. I guess let's start from a gameplay aspect, Gene.
Yes, you lead the conversation because I can go anywhere from here. So
yeah, so as people know from the first game, it's all about delivering packages and stuff like that. That's pretty much the same, I assume, for the most part here. What's something, I guess, kind of new that they added to that formula to shake it up?
Yes. Well, first of all, myself included, people will have criticism about the pacing of Death Stranding 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
If people remember, and as Colin was kind of finding out, because Director's Cut kind of changed that pacing, if you listen to Sacred Symbols. But it takes like a good 2-3 hours for players to really get any good gear to kind of feel like a real sense of progression, where like, oh, I'm really progressing. I have tools to navigate this world. I have tools to combat in this world. I know if you know Death Stranding, combat and violence isn't exactly the priority,
right?
But there's still conflict. There's still people trying to get your shit. People trying to get your cargoes. And then Death Stranding 1, for a while, you didn't really have many ways to fight back other than punch, which was really dangerous. So you just kind of run away, right? When you find the BTs, you're just kind of quivering in fear, right? That doesn't happen in Death Stranding 2. You get a gun in the first half hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right away. That's interesting.
You get a vehicle in the same first half hour right away. When you start the game starts you off right away. Boom, start delivering.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah. There's no wait. The gameplay loop starts right away. So that's where the big first improvement comes.
Okay.
And as you mentioned, when the first game was very kind of like package and delivery oriented, and a little bit of stealth and a little bit of combat. All of those pillars are now built up a little bit more. So this is much more of a sandbox. First of all, the missions have a lot more variety to them now. They're not just go get this stuff and go and pick it up. Well, it all essentially still is that, right? But it's like,
yeah.
Oh, what you need is in this base, and it is hidden in this room, or it is on these enemies. Now it is up to you to figure out how to get that stuff out of that base, basically. So it's very Metal Gear.
Yeah.
In fact,
okay. That's cool.
And then they were able to create these play spaces, because Death Stranding 1 didn't really have. They had some open camps or whatever like that, but Death Stranding. But if you remember in Director's Cut, there was that one section where it's a little bit more directed. You'll see a lot more of that, where it's like, oh, here's this building, enter this building in this open world, and then navigate the building up, down, different floors, that kind of thing. Really cool. And then it's basically like, oh, what you need is on the enemy, so you will have to knock them out somehow. So conflict is kind of forced a few times here, but not really though. That would start to happen at the beginning, because the game is kind of trying to show you the ropes literally strand. On what the gameplay loop is like, how what all the new changes in combat. Ooh, melee combat is improved.
Oh, okay.
Melee combat in the first game, you get a 3-hit combo, right? And you can do, like, if you run fast enough, you can do a drop kick, right? Do a little sweet chin music on some mules. This time you can level up your combos, so you can go up to like a 5-hit combo, yo.
Wow.
Yeah.
How does that work? How do you level something up like that?
It's fucking Skyrim now, man. like fight. The more you fight,
it's like what is it? Oblivion. Like the more you do something, the higher.
I'm sorry, Oblivion. Yes, it's more like Oblivion. Oblivion remastered. Yeah, the more you fight, the more you level up. The more you traverse, the more you level up your traversal.
Cool. Okay.
The more you sprint, the more you level up your stamina. That kind of thing. So the Sam now has not only a skill tree. Where he will unlock the abilities to like the Odra deck will sense objects nearby automatically as opposed to pinging them. You voluntarily pinging them, or vehicles being able to you can lift up items as you're driving.
Mm-hmm.
So you can,
whoa! You can pick stuff up as you're driving.
As you're driving, bro.
Convenient.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I haven't even begun to talk about the quality of life shit yet here, right?
Yeah. Wow.
But then like the skill tree allows you to do that. But then also you can level up your fighting, including in the fighting you can block and counter pressing L and R, bro. So like if the enemy is swinging over to your right, press L to block. Lift up your arm, and then Sam will go like that. Cool. And then if you press punch, he'll do a fucking Street Fighter 3 like parry strike where he'll like bam, and then he'll like knock back and punch them like knock them out on like one hit. So if you land that counter, you get big damage.
Okay, that sounds good.
And then if you do get into scraps, like there will be like it all of a sudden it becomes like fucking Sifu all of a sudden, man, where it's like you can block left and right, and then you're blocking like these enemies that are crowding around you, and then you're like hitting them, bam, bam, multi-directional like melee combat. It's crazy.
Yeah. So judging by this or what you've said, even the first game, there's a lot of like mechanics to the game, and it's very in depth of what you can do and stuff like that. Do you feel like 2 eases you in nicely into all these mechanics, or did you ever feel like I'm not ready for this kind of thing? I feel like I haven't been taught properly.
No. The game. I think most people could argue that the on ramp for DS1 just kind of started a little late.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of stuff about the president, and
right.
Kojima's famous cutscene length was very
cutscenes were very, very long in DS1. Like Micah was just talking about that last week in Punching Up, where it's like I feel like he started the game and we still haven't played. It's been 90 minutes. That doesn't happen at all in DS2. You start right away. So basically, the tutorials start right away. So if you felt like DS1 was tutorializing you pretty good, then DS2 will tutorialize you the same way. It just does it earlier. So
okay.
What's funny about that for me is I thought that Kojima was so invested in kind of hiding what Death Stranding becomes with all the infrastructure building, that all of that early stuff was designed so that he could show that without kind of giving everything away. I thought that was a problem for the early marketing of Death Stranding 1 because everybody talked about it as a walking simulator and they only ever had pictures of Sam falling in creeks and things. But I loved building the zip line infrastructure and building the highways and all that stuff. Are there similar concepts in Death Stranding 2?
It's so funny you mentioned that because when you look at the trophy list, like people just start like chapter 2 and chapter 3, and it's like, man, there are majority of people who played Death Stranding 1 have no idea that you can build roads and shit like that here too. So are you asking if there's infrastructure build up in Death Stranding 2, or like?
Yeah, you don't have to be specific on this. That was one of the things I really enjoyed about that game. To be honest, Gene, I didn't expect everything that you've already talked about with respect to mechanics for fighting. I'd kind of given up on Death Stranding as a franchise being terribly satisfying to actually fight in. But I love the infrastructure. I love certain aspects of the story. So I am interested in whether or not you're still at least doing some of that stuff that allows you to change the landscape. It's one of the things I really like about the altars.
That there is so it's not a spoiler. They talked about this in the previews, but you do go to Mexico and Australia. I will not spoil how you get to Australia. That itself is a story beat in and of itself, right?
Yeah.
But once you get to Australia, the freeway network is massive. I only just finished it. I see some reviewers say they did it in 2 days. Like, wow, you guys really just like stopped playing the game to just build the roads, because I didn't do that. I kept playing the game, and I started to build the roads afterwards. But unfortunately, the online went offline for the past week, so I haven't had any help building the roads. And it's kind of a mess to just try to like lug 5,000 pieces of metal all by yourself across the Australian continent. So I kind of stopped on that. But on top of roads, there is a monorail system that is complicated, not that complicated, but it is placed smartly in areas where they know. So not only is there a monorail system, but there's a mining system now. You can
let's go.
Yes, you can. Yes. Yeah,
exactly. That sounds cool to me. Yeah,
it sounds fucking cool, right? So you find these mines that are deactivated, and then so you have to like feed them some materials, not too much, but then you activate the material. So along with activating preppers and bringing them onto the Cairo network, you are turning on these mines that can now you can just like insert coin, insert Cairo crystals. It needs a lot of Cairo crystals, so I'm really low on Cairo crystals. But you pump in like 1,000 Cairo crystals, you get 4,000 metal.
Wow.
Pump in some Cairo crystal, you get 6,000 ceramics. How are you going to carry all the ceramics there? You walk over to the monorail. You load them into the train. You can load your cars into the train, your vehicles into the train too.
Cool.
And all your floating cargo easily. And I'll get to floating cargo and user interface in a bit. We can lug all of that into the monorail, and then the monorail goes on a set trail path down to a certain area, but it'll pass other areas. It'll have stops along the way, so you can stop there and you can get off and you're like, okay, this is my stop, you know? Mm-hmm. And now I can like huff it over to where I need to be, to the road spot or to wherever I want to build up.
Damn.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that sounds
awesome.
crazy.
And then so the road and the monorail system are all like interconnected to kind of feed into the system of like resources that naturally flow together eventually. You know, it's really, really cool.
Let's talk about some of that quality of life stuff you were hinting at earlier.
Mm-hmm.
What have they done here? Yeah.
So the biggest thing for me is how they streamlined the menu system. My phone. So the menu system, let me put my phone down because I'm really excited about this. I'm going to ignore everyone else right now. The one thing about Death Stranding 1 is that when you like, for example, like you're in a prepper and you have your car and you want to put all your stuff into the car, so that you tag everything and you put it into the car, and then you have to go down to confirm or hold or hold X to confirm. And then do that. Or if you're out in the middle of fucking nowhere and you have your floating carriers and you're like, oh man, I need to move some stuff around, and then let me go into my cargo. Let me press start. Let me press left. Let me go into the cargo management and do that. Click everything, put it into the thing, and then hard press X to confirm that everything that I just did. You no longer have to hard press confirm at all. Period.
Oh, okay.
You can just move stuff around in the menu, and once the thing is in the car menu, it's in the car. Period.
Okay.
Everything moves so fast, and you have no idea how many minutes and seconds and hours that actually saves you in terms of trucking. You know,
I can believe that.
That all adds up, and it's so smooth. The other thing though is that you have the DHV Magellan. Not a spoiler. This is the ship. You can walk around in. So that's one thing, is that you can't really walk around the DHV Magellan. It's not an internal area that you can do. It's basically a private room, but a private room that can go into different areas like the shower or like different functions that are different from like the quote unquote private room from the preppers, right? Mm-hmm. But it functions similarly, but it is a portable, teleportable private room where once you unlock a prepper, you can just go to the map menu. And you can just ask the Magellan to teleport right where you are. You can be on the Magellan itself. You don't have to be in the private room. You can just be in the actual hangar of the area, just in gameplay, and then just press start and then move your whole ass over there. That's a great way to move materials. That is how people were able to move to finish the roads in 2 days. You go to the nearest prepper, hoof it over to the mine, grab 6,800 ceramics, hoof it back over to the DHV Magellan, teleport over closest to the road that you need to go, walk out, huff it over, and then install the road. Mm-hmm. Super, super easy. And then so the DHV Magellan has its own private locker and storage. Or another thing, if you want to recycle something, it doesn't say Bridget Strand doesn't show up and say congratulations, thanks so much for recycling. Da 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 da. And you have to like confirm through all that. No. You just hit recycle and then it's in the system. There's
just a little more smooth. Yeah.
There's no more pageantry or anything like that. It's just like you did the work, you recycled it. You needed to put it in the private locker. You did it. You know, that's it.
Cool.
You don't have to confirm any of that stuff. You don't have to there's no cutscenes or anything like that. It's just all menus right away. To go into cargo management right away, all you have to do is just hold up and press X, and then boom, you're in cargo management. You don't have to press start. You don't have to go navigate through the mail, get past the orders or whatever to get to cargo management. Just hold up and press X, and then you're there.
Okay.
What else? Zip lines can now curve now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so you can create a whole curvy ass network. I haven't really messed with it that much anyways, but if you had a problem, one problem with zip lines is that if shit got in the way,
right,
you're done. But if there's a mountain in the way, maybe zip around it.
Okay.
If there's a building
I love
in the way,
those.
zip around it. Yeah. So people are gonna go crazy with the kind of zipline networks that they can make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I really loved about Death Stranding 1 was how hard it felt to get somewhere. And then once you were there, you could build the infrastructure backwards and then go in 30 seconds what took you 3 hours the first time. I think
Trust
that's really
me,
cool.
I'm now contemplating definitely creating a zipline network in the fucking one snowy, the one snowy mountain that this fucking Australian continent has, and it's still a bitch to cross.
I remember the first game. There wasn't a lot of enemy variety, I suppose. Like the BTs, there wasn't that many. You fought a lot of the same bosses kind of over and over. Mm-hmm. Is there more enemy variety this time all around?
Great question. Yes, there is more enemy variety. There is different variations of mules,
Okay.
Certain mules will have special powers even. I kind of don't want to even spoil them.
Sure.
But they all have different abilities. Like they're their own. Like there are different mules with different abilities that are surprising. And you've seen them in trailers. Like one has a jetpack, so he can he can just bounce back and forth and dodge you, right? So the combat is a lot more heavier. BTs, there are more varieties in BTs too.
Okay.
There are heavy BTs, that when they grab you, they'll have different formations, they'll have different results even. Mm-hmm. They move differently, they look different. The bosses, especially when you finally get grabbed by them and you get dragged over to the boss arena or whatever like that, those are still there. Those are huge. There are bosses around. There are a few bosses like Elden Ring around the game where you run into an area and you're like, oh, this is where the BT boss is, because holy shit, like this is just a boss arena just popping up out of nowhere.
That's awesome.
As I'm walking. So
one thing I was most interested in the game is what they were talking about, and this is literally at the beginning of the game, is kind of like the environmental hazards and stuff happening, like the earthquakes, and they said floods. Does that play a big role in the game?
I wouldn't say it plays it doesn't dramatically change too much, except for the rivers and the lakes that you're used to,
Yeah.
The rivers will definitely just pop up out of nowhere, and that and the map will clearly show that. Whereas it's raining, and then the map will show these rivers formed, and then so that will just fuck your plans up when you're like, oh, I don't need a ladder. And it turns out it's raining. Oh, maybe I should have brought a ladder, Yeah. And hopefully you're depending on the kindness of other strangers who might have left a ladder there or a bridge there, or you can just wait it out, or you go upstream and you go to where the river would be the most shallow, and you walk across that. You can do that too. The game doesn't lock you out because it's the same as DS1. The game is not going to hard lock you out of anything if you just didn't bring the right equipment. There is always some way to navigate it. I quote unquote raw dogged a lot of my walks where I just had nothing and I just had all the package, and I was like, okay, well, let me just walk around this thing, and I did it.
Cool.
Avalanches will happen. I have eaten shit on the snowy mountain completely. It's fucking one of the worst things ever, where I'm just almost at the top and I slip and I just fall all the way back to the fucking bottom, man. Oh my god! So that's why I'm like, holy shit, man! I need to start fucking building some zip lines, man. This is fucking stupid. You know?
That's awesome.
And then the rock slides, yeah, like you'll get like you just have to watch out for some rock slides, but it's not like the mountains are gonna be disappearing or something like that. Like there's not gonna be like massive terrain formation. But it will change. There's forest fires, dude.
Whoa, cool.
Sometimes you're walking around and it's like, holy shit, like why is this fucking place on burning? So that's one of the newer weapons. I won't talk too much about weapons, I guess. But one new weapon is a tar gun, where you it's basically like Mario Sunshine, but with black tar instead of water. And you go to the fire and you put it out. You're literally you're smoking the bear. You're putting out forest fires.
Cool.
But you can also knock out enemies with that. Also, the guns. The guns are now a lot more like there's no like. Most of the guns you pick up will be non-lethal guns. Like you don't have to worry about like, oh shit, I got like a fucking AK that actually kills people. I don't need this
because you never like wanted to use that in the first game.
You never wanted to use the one that kills people, right? So basically, like there was only one time where I picked up a gun that killed people, and I was like, I don't want that. Give me the bullet guns, man. So pretty much every gun you pick up will be a non-lethal MP rifle. I don't know what MP. I forget what MP stands for, but MP is basically the non-lethal version of these guns, and you'll have a ton of it. There's the pistols. You get pistols now, but the pistols have its own holster now. So the pistol won't take a space in your backpack. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Did they have the SOCOM pistol from Metal Gear? That's
dude. Like so you straight up get a tranquilizer gun, man. Like
hell yeah.
You straight up get a tranquilizer gun. I packed that shit for the whole time, and I went back to Mexico and realized like, oh, I was missing like the other pistol upgrades there too. I completely forgot that I had to go back to Mexico to. I could go back to Mexico to a 5-star nose preppers too. Yeah. So that doesn't take up a space in your thing. It's super cool.
Visual standpoint and I guess presentation all around with music and stuff. What I saw of the game, it looks incredible visually and stuff like that. You think this is a showpiece game?
Absolutely. I think it's the most beautiful game I've ever seen.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe Horizon Forbidden West is kind of up there too, right?
Same engine.
That's the same engine, man. Like you know what? Like I've seen enough. I think the Decimate engine is greater than the Unreal Engine now at this point,
Yeah.
I don't care about Lumen or ray tracing. You know what I care about? This game performing beautifully at 60 FPS. I'm playing on the PS5 Pro, but I do hear that the regular PS5 also does performance mode beautifully at 60 frames per second.
Wow. Okay.
But the performance mode on PS5 Pro, like flawless, man. The performance is flawless. Like I couldn't really tell the difference between quality and performance mode actually.
Okay, that's what I heard about it. Yeah.
That's awesome. Crazy. Go get the frames.
So high, everything looks so beautiful. That's why like I don't recommend people watch the trailers, because like the trailers won't have like spoilers or anything like that, like story spoilers. And even if they did, you're not going to really understand what you're seeing until you see them in context, right? That's so it goes for all Kojima trailers. But then there are visual spoilers, and people always accuse me of not caring about spoilers. I actually do care about spoilers,
Yeah.
There are some things that Kojima showed where I'm like, I'm really glad that I saw that first, before anything, The cutscene that he showed, I was like, that's cool. Should have been shown in the game,
I think I might have said it on this channel. It might have been somewhere else, but I was watching the Kojima presentation of Death Stranding 2 during Summer Games Fest. And when they started putting all that stuff on screen, I was like looking out of the corner of my eye. I'm like, this is way too much. I don't want to see any of this right now. So I agree with you on visuals. I'm difficult to spoil because for the most part, I'm still going to be excited about it in the context of whatever the presentation actually is. But there's definitely times where I've gotten to something and been like, I wish I didn't know that I was waiting for that from the trailer.
Yes.
Like this person is alive in a later scene, whatever it might be. Yes. And you just remember it from the trailer. Now, Gene, I want to talk about this ambiguously. I know that you will do that for me. But I'm a story guy. I'm a narrative guy. One of the reasons that Death Stranding is a game that I loved as much as I did was because by the time that game ended, I was actually really touched. It was one of the more emotional experiences that I had with a game, but large sections of Death Stranding 1 are, to be kind, all over the place. And I understand how it loses people, even though I wound up really loving it at the end.
Yes.
Is this game a little bit more focused narratively? That's what I would like to hear.
It is 200% more focused. Again, when I say that this is Kojima returning to form for when he did Snake Eater, I mean it in every sense. Every character motivation is clear. When characters cry, you know why they're crying. You feel it. You understand how the characters got there to feel these certain things. That wasn't always the case in Death Stranding 1, right?
No, they like the mystery box in Death Stranding 1.
Yeah, there was a lot of mystery boxes where you're like, oh, I don't know why, like Cliff is being like this, right? And that doesn't really happen until the end. That doesn't, like where you're like, oh, now I understand why Cliff was acting like that or whatever, right? That doesn't happen in Death Stranding 2. There's no there is a mystery box to solve still, but every step of the way, you understand what the characters are going through and what their motivations are. The plot is very propulsive, whereas in DS1, you're like, oh, well, now I'm going to go meet Hartman, and I don't know who Hartman is.
Right.
Whatever, right? And then when you meet him, he's fucking awesome, right? He's a rad character, right? But then you weren't really like, oh, man, I can't wait to meet Hartman, right? You're like, okay, well, time to go meet this Hartman guy, right? And see what that's about, right?
Yeah, and that's right after... That's right after the Mama episode, I think. I mean, it's a very episodic kind of way of storytelling in Death Stranding 1.
Yes. DS2 is also episodic, but it's more like a season of TV, where when the episode ends, you find out a piece of information that advances the story, but also teases what could happen next. And you're like, oh, I can't wait to see what happens next with this character. Or, oh, I just found this out about this character or the story. Now I got to see where the story is going next. Let me keep playing a little bit more. So
that sounds so exciting.
Yes, you really had. He was really finally able to re-implement. Like, oh, I need to keep going. I need to keep. I need to find out more about the story. Oh, the story is getting really interesting now. It's happening really, really early. And again, like when characters were acting certain ways in DS1, you just really understand it. But DS2, you completely understand why, and you're like, oh, I need to see where this character is going now, because I'm with them on their journey now,
Yeah, cool.
So I hope that's vague. I hope that's vague enough, but answers your question clearly.
It is. I appreciate that because I wanted to know. I'm here for the Kojima weirdness and storytelling. I know it's not to everybody's taste. Nothing is, but I love it, and I'm really, really excited about this game, even more so now.
Yeah, and to be clear, and I've seen some people in my mentions saying, "Oh, I really love the way DS1 told his story, though." So this is kind of concerning to me. I was like, make no mistake, he does not sacrifice what made DS1 special. This is still a very weird and very heady game, very poetic, very allegorical, very metaphorical. He does all of that too. It's just like all of these puzzle pieces just slide into place. And you see the puzzle moving, and you're like, oh, everything is actually making complete fucking sense.
I love it.
As these beats are moving, and you're like, oh, the picture is actually becoming clearer now. It's incredible. Also, you said Kojima weirdness. Make no mistake, a lot of weird shit happens in this game. You are not ready for it. Absolutely. And this is also probably the funniest AAA game I've played of all time.
Funny.
Oh, okay.
Funny. I'm not like there were some jokes from DS1, Princess Beach being chief among them.
Yeah,
that it was a joke. It's clearly meant to be a joke, but I think it went over a lot of people's heads. This time, I think the jokes land really, really hard, and you are not going to help yourself but laugh out loud so hard that you're probably screaming. This is a laugh riot of a game. Some funny fucking shit happens in this game. It's insane. It's so cool.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Let's go to some questions from the audience. I think we'll keep it pretty vague for now on that good stuff. We'll talk about it more in the coming weeks. This is from the Uncharted Wolf. What's up, Summoners? Gene, is Death Stranding's 2 story less term heavy than the first game? As much as I loved Death Stranding 1, there were points where characters would spout out a bunch of terms, and I felt like I barely understood most of them. Even by the end of the game, I'm hoping the sequel is less aggressive when it comes to this. Can't wait to read your review.
I think it's less aggressive. It's still going to use the same terms as the first game. You know, you're, like it's not going to stop and explain beach things every single time.
Dooms, all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
it's not gonna. There is a Final Fantasy 16 like lore lore
cool.
button, you know, called the Corpus, where every single time a character does drop an acronym, you know, a BBLT or whatever, you know, like whatever. I'm making that up, right?
Yeah.
But if every time like Fragile just says, you know, whatever, there'll be a little Corpus button that pops up. And you can go into the glossary and read that too, if that's handy. And that glossary is available at all times. You can always go back and read it. So keep that in mind. But I do think that the game is a lot less heavy on terms and phrases. But you're going to have to be familiar with the world in itself, which is like BBs and BTs and bridges. Right. Yeah, you have to know the difference between bridges and drawbridges, and what makes the UCA the UCA. And what their jurisdiction is. That's all part of the story. You know, the UCA's jurisdiction in Mexico and Australia, for example, right?
Let's talk about jurisdictions, people. Get excited.
Yeah.
Cool. Sounds good. All right, this is from Matthew Perry. Hey, Summoners, Hideo Kojima recently stated that he deliberately made changes to Death Stranding 2 on the beach because playtesters found it too good and he wanted to be more polarizing and trigger more emotions. Question for Gene. As someone who often champions unique and challenging game design, what are your thoughts on this approach, and do you believe it will ultimately benefit or hinder the final experience for players?
It was funny that that quote came out while I was playing it, because I was like, I have no idea what he's talking about. This game is a crowd pleaser of a game, you know.
Yeah.
If he tried to make it more polarizing or less likable, he failed. Because it is an extremely, extremely likable game. Think about how you were cheering at the end of Snake Eater. You know, again, I keep going back to Snake Eater. Think about how you were like, "Oh my god,
yeah,
what an ending!" You know, all the characters made sense. I did not expect that journey for some characters. Wow, incredible. That's where Death Stranding 2 really is like a classic Kojima sequel, where he just like fires on all cylinders. He improves the original vision in every single way, and he expands upon it in every single way. So I have no idea what he's talking about. I couldn't tell you what part of the game he went into to make it quote unquote more, you know, divisive or whatever like that. I couldn't tell you, because all of it is awesome. You know, it's like I was like Orson Welles at the end of Citizen Kane. You know, I was standing up and clapping. I was like, oh my god, you really did it, man. This is what a finale. You know, what a great story. You know.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. I have no idea what he's talking about, because he failed if he was trying to make it divisive. Because I feel like this is probably going to be his most liked game in a long time.
I think that quote is super interesting, because I think it was taken out of context a little bit online. I'm sure that's no surprise to people that regularly follow things online, but it sounded to me, and I haven't played this game and I don't know exactly what he was talking about, that he was worried about some of the story beats, the narrative being essentially too smooth, too easy to digest, and not challenging people's thoughts, philosophy, whatever it might be, enough. Like that's what it appeared to be directed at, which isn't quite the same as I need it to be worse. I need it to be bad in some way. But that's how it was read by a lot of headline writers, I think.
Yeah, because headline writers and people online are idiots, you know? So it's like the dumb leading the dumb, you know?
Yeah.
Gotta go get those clicks.
Get those clicks.
Sure, they sure do.
All right, this is from Chris H. Hello, Summoners. I've waited long to play Death Stranding 1, but the immense runtime and Kojima heavy story have weighed on me enough to delay my playthrough indefinitely. Is there any advice you can give to someone who wants to try out the first game, or is the second entry friendly enough to allow being played without knowledge of the predecessor? Thanks, dudes. I'll hang up, drop all my packages, and fall down a cliff to my ultimate demise and listen.
This is a tough question to answer, because you absolutely need to understand Death Stranding 1 before playing Death Stranding 2. This game takes place almost immediately after Death Stranding 1. This is not like a huge Kojima time jump or whatever, where you're just like, oh, this is like a reboot of a story. No, this is a continuation of every facet of Death Stranding 1. So, If you played the game and you kind of understand what's going on, then I think you're safe just watching a really, really good YouTube video, because the recap in this game is not good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You get a Death Stranding 1 recap, and it is 19 pages of, again, what the other reader was complaining about, a lot of terms. They're like, oh, well, Sam has asymphophobia. And so him with his BB, the quote-unquote bridge baby, went across the United States to reconnect the chiral network. And if all that sounds like nonsense to you, then you need to go back and either play Death Stranding 1 or watch a really, really good video that explains every single term. You need to understand the terms, and you need to understand the characters. You need to understand who Fragile is and what motivates her, to understand why she's in this game and what she's doing in the story. You need to understand who Deadman is and why he was so important in the first game. You need to understand who Hartman is. All these things really, really hinge on your familiarity with the first game. So people who did play the first game are going to be in a huge advantage. People who didn't play the first game, I certainly don't know. I can't be in the headspace, but I think you might be okay just watching a movie version of it on YouTube, or just like a really, really, I don't know which compelling video of Death Stranding 1 is out there. I've watched a few of them, and they're not all of them are that great,
That's interesting. It's an interesting question whenever you ask about sequels. I mean, one of the things that I think really works for Death Stranding 1, I've said this in other spaces, is unlike other games that have this kind of gameplay element and then a cutscene, I think that the arduousness of Death Stranding 1, the difficulty of getting from point A to point B, is part of its narrative storytelling. I don't know how Death Stranding actually plays in just cutscene form, watching it on YouTube.
That's the thing. Yeah, you're right. That a lot of that narrative tension is like, oh my god, well, now I got to get back to there, and then so like that's really part of the experience. But then you'll get that here in Death Stranding 2 too, And one other thing that I should add too is that like, a lot of Death Stranding 1 was, okay, you travel, you deliver cutscene, right? It was very formulaic in terms of like, you get rewarded with a big ass cutscene at the end of the chapter, right?
Yeah.
Not so much here. First of all, the side quests are very narrative heavy now this time. They come with their own cutscenes, their own storylines.
You're speaking my language.
Their own like narrative through lines where you get an order from one prepper and you have to deliver it to the other prepper, and then that prepper will have a whole new cutscene. And these are a new form of order called suborders. Suborders are the ones that you need to finish to either unlock that prepper or unlock the side quest for that prepper, and then you'll get a whole different narrative thread with new cutscenes, new gameplay elements, and another thing though is that a lot of storytelling now actually takes place during the gameplay. There will be cinematic set pieces that happen as you're playing the game, So he really, really is like leaning away from like, oh, here's a 2-hour cutscene and you're just going to find out what it is. Like, no, you're going to play through what might have been a cutscene in a lesser game or in the first game. This game is going to be like, no, you need to feel that tension. You need to be walking through this.
You're right. There's a certain amount of artificiality in the setup of Death Stranding 1 in terms of mission cutscene. That's nice to hear.
It's like a classic video game. It's it's like Ninja Gaiden. You finish the level and you get a cutscene. But Death Stranding 2 is a lot more experimental in terms of its narrative structure and how it presents the story, and a lot deeper stories in the side quests. Now you will want to finish these side quests. This shit is like Expedition 33. Sorry to bring that up to this crowd right here. It's like Expedition 33. Like you get a lot more character scenes in this. You will be wanting to do these side quests, these side preppers.
For the record, the commenters need to understand about me that I really like that game and I recommend everybody play it that's interested in video games at all. Other folks have thoughts about my commentary on the spoiler cast, but I like Expedition 33.
We'll get back to that.
All right. Cool. Very nice, Gene. Learned a good amount without getting spoiled on anything. So,
yes, I feel like we survived that. But I am now going to have a lot of difficulty surviving the rest of my calendar day, waiting for that timer to end. So thank you for that, Gene.
Yeah. I mean, let me try to think of some other stuff too.
It already sounds fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, new gear. The new gear is super fun to play around with. Again, like you get a gun and a tricycle early. So there's a lot more variety in terms of gear. Sam will have different suits.
Yeah,
different camo suits, man.
Oh, again, camo suits. Okay,
camo suits.
Metal Gear 3, right there.
Metal Gear 3. You want a suit that will camouflage you in the snow? There is one. You want a suit that camouflage you in the desert? There'll be a desert camo suit for you there.
Okay.
Oh, the photo mode.
Yeah. Yeah.
The girly photo mode. So regular photo mode is available throughout the whole game, right? But then there's the photo mode with the girls, and that unlocks deeper into the game because you have to unlock the girls too. Like you're meeting these new characters along the way. Tomorrow, Rainy, Fragile's already there. Leia Sadu, right? But you eventually unlock the ability to take pictures of these women. And,
Kojima.
It's Kojima. It is definitely a revival of the Beauty and Beast photo mode of Metal Gear Solid 4. If you remember that.
Yeah.
If for folks who don't remember, Metal Gear Solid 4's all the bosses in that game were beautiful models. Beautiful models. Oh my goodness. And once you beat the boss, you unlock the ability to do a sexy photo shoot with them, where they just kind of like minx around and crawl around, and you can just do that. So this is less sexualized. It's funny that GameSpot. Oh my god, dude! GameSpot gave Death Stranding 2 a 7 because it says that it sexualizes women. So,
oh boy,
yeah. And this doesn't do that. These are just a bunch of girls, like, you know, just hanging around, off, like they're just goofing around in their home clothes. You know, it can be creepy. So, you know, when they're doing this, they're doing all these poses, and you can just like not take the picture. You can just like have them do poses forever.
Yeah, but it's like, what are you gonna bump down a Yakuza game because there's like models and shit in that game?
Yeah,
same thing. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, they're like fucking 2014 journalism and stuff like that. It feels like still not even 2000. Yeah, I agree that that's like very like early era 2014 games journalism, like something you see from like Polygon, who thinks that Bayonetta is sexualizing women, you know.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, like all the gay people love Bayonetta, like, you know, which is like ridiculous, you know.
Yeah.
But it's very like college, like liberal arts college, like 101. Like, you know, like this is like, oh, my first essay, you know, my first critical analysis, you know. Oh, it sexualizes women because women are scantily clad. Like, that's not critical analysis. I'm sorry.
Right.
You know. So this is not sexualizing them. It's fun. It's incredible. The lighting is incredible. The DHV Magellan itself is cool to hang around with. The private room is pretty cool. I actually barely use the regular private rooms in the prepper areas, actually, because I was always in the Magellan hanging out. And Doll Man, I forgot to talk about Doll Man. Doll Man is basically another. So Doll Man is another narrative element where he does function a little bit like Mimir. He's not going to tell you like Sam, you're on fire. Like, he's not going to do that.
Yeah.
Like he's not going to give you battle dialogue or anything like that, right? But like if we're walking along and you're in a new area that deserves some commentary, you know, he's going to be like, oh, this is where this happened or whatever like that, you know. Or sure. If there's if you're walking around in the main campaign, and he will add some story or like some reactions to like what just happened or some reflections on what just happened. So you're always getting, again, like like Doll Man is part of that narrative meat where the game is just a lot more engaging and you're just a lot better informed about where characters are. And again, the DHV Magellan, you have Rainy, you have Tomorrow, you have all these characters. You have Tarman, you know, George Miller, right? You have all these characters that you're bouncing off like dialogue with, you know. So it's a lot busier narrative where, you know, the thrust of the story is, should we have connected? And it's like, you know, because Sam has now finally connected with all he has friends now. He has a team, you know. So this journey is different. He is definitely not going it alone. He has so much support, And I think a lot of the story is about that the kind of support. It's very in a broad sense, it's like about the support that he has with his friends and everything like that too.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
The story is much deeper than that too, but at a very surface level,
I believe it.
At a very surface level, his friends got his back, and that changes the mood and the vibe of the game and the narrative for sure.
Yeah, we'll get into that more.
MP3 player. You can play music anytime. You can play music every time you want. You can create a playlist of all the songs that you collected. So you have to fucking collect the songs too. So that's another motivator of doing all the preppers, is that you're collecting different songs. And exploring the world, you're collecting different songs, and you can add that into your playlist, move it off. You can have only the Caroline Polachek song and play that for 50 hours the whole game through. It could just be on repeat, one song the whole way through.
Mm-hmm.
Super cool.
Okay,
but the MP3 player only works if you have put on the Cairo network online. If you're offline, then it'll just
won't work.
And then it's back to silence, which is pretty cool.
That's a bad license agreement, folks. You can't connect online. You can't play your own music. What are we doing here?
There you go. It's like the Switch 2. You have to be online to listen to music. Oh my God.
All right. Very nice, Gene. Okay. Let's move on to our next game. Aura History Untold, Hoeg.
Yeah.
I'm playing this. I remember this came out last year, didn't it?
It did. Yeah. No, I just bought this because it was on sale, to be honest with you. Okay. I thought I had played this when it came out. Folks that remember from the Xbox showcases know that Aura History Untold was a game that was originally published by Xbox Game Studios in a genre that they're not usually publishing games in, a 4X strategy game, primarily on PC. It was in Game Pass. I think it might still be. I'm not sure of that because Xbox actually relinquished its publishing rights to a Michigan video game company called Stardock, which is an on-again, off-again client of Hoeg Law, actually. But when Stardock took over publishing rights, they started doing patches and changing various things about the game. One of those things that they changed was the price. I think this week, I think by the time this goes live, it'll still be on sale. But I wanted to pop in. I thought I had popped in when it first came out. I apparently didn't because I thought I'd played this game. I think this about a lot of Civilization-alike games, whether it's Humankind or Millennium, that they always feel a little bit like discount off-brand Civilization, and I think that I've played them. In this case, the best thing I can say about Aura History Untold is that while it looks like it's off-brand Civilization when you look at screenshots, it's really not aimed at that. It is a 4X. It is an empire builder. You go from the dawn of time through the modern age, but it's borrowing so much from one of my other favorite series of games called Anno that I've talked about, I think, in this space, certainly elsewhere in the channel. That is a series of games by Ubisoft that's really about, I'm going to make this sound boring, but supply chain management, where you've got workers and things that you're setting up in colonies in various time frames. Each Anno game takes place in a given year. So there's 1701, there's 2205. The upcoming Anno game is in the Roman Empire. I think it's 107 maybe. But the Anno series is really about going and mining things and making one thing and then using two things that you've made through your mine materials and then getting a third thing and keeping all of those supply chains functioning while more and more people are moving into your city. And I love this series. I love the kind of gardening aspect of building up a town and managing all these various things. Aura History Untold is that for building an empire. So rather than just picking a building in your city and saying it does this now, what you're actually doing is saying, I'm going to make a basket weaver. And if I can get that basket weaver rope, then I'm going to have that basket weaver make baskets, and people in dwellings are going to use those baskets, and those are all going to increase the productivity of the city somehow. But you're doing all those things at once with multiple supply chains while building your civilization, and it's really unique and different. I think people that listen to me from time to time know that one of the things I really love is novelty. I really love new ideas, new designs, and I am so impressed by what this game is doing. And the reason I picked it up was the sale, but it's also the same week as they just did a recent patch, which is, I understand it because I haven't played the earlier versions, changed the way the map works. So it does some really cool things about iconography in terms of scrolling back the map as you would think of a civilization and just showing icons of your scouts and icons of your cities. But when you scroll all the way in, it doesn't require you to separate out to a different menu. It takes you all the way into actually being able to see your people walking around the town and getting their baskets and all the animations that you might like from an Anno game. So it really creates a sense that you're building up this living thing, that all of these different cultures and nations and leaders are different. They have different graphical elements for the most part for their various cities. And I just love that. That's what I love about a Civilization game. And I've said on Summon Sign that I'm enjoying Civilization 7 more than some of the reviewers are. But I can sit here and admit that it is not a finished product. It probably shouldn't have released in the form that it did. I'm still waiting on that user interface to get better because it needs some major tweaks. And they keep saying that in the next patch, we're going to do those user interface adjustments, or we're going to keep working on user interface. As I wait for that, I was looking for something else to fill that void. And Ara History Untold is it for me. I really, really, really enjoy this game. I'm surprised at how much I've really enjoyed it. I only got it last week, so I haven't played it the 600-hour review cycle that you see on Steam or otherwise. But as of right now, this is the game that's going to fill that Civilization-sized hole in my heart. And I would recommend it while it's on sale for anybody that's interested in it.
Okay. How much was it on sale?
It was 50% off, so I think I got the...
Probably like 30 or something?
Yeah, I think I got the mid-tier, like here's some of the DLC kind of version, because this was a big old deluxe and premium and like Nations of the World edition. I don't know. And so I think I got one of the middle ones like I usually do. But I think it was 30 or 35.
Let's say like someone like me, Hoeg, who hasn't played a lot of these kind of games, would you recommend this over some other ones like Civilization?
So as it stands right now, I think Civilization 7 is probably still the game that's going to, no pun intended, stand the test of time. Like they're going to put the resources into that. It's going to be fixed. But as of right now, June 2025, I would say that Ara is the better, more fulfilled game design this moment. And since it's so much cheaper than Civilization 7 is right this second, I'd probably recommend people go here first. But Civilization 7 is going to be a winner. It's just not quite there yet.
Okay. I'm trying to, I haven't heard many people speak about this game. I'm looking at some of the reviews and they're like 7s. User score is 6.4. I'm curious.
So
what do you think about it?
One of the things that I did see in people talking about this patch and the last couple of patches, so they're on 1.5 now, I think, is that performance really suffered. Like the engine that they're using for this game wasn't interacting with people's PCs very well. So one of the patches, I don't think it was this latest one, but one of the patches in the middle between 1 and 1.5 seems to have really improved the performance. And I can certainly imagine how if this was stuttering and otherwise causing problems for you, it wouldn't be nearly as fulfilling or fun. So I think there was a performance issue at launch would be my guess. I don't think I played it at that point in time, so I can't speak for that specifically. But that would drive down some of the numbers. It's also very different. I do think sometimes reviewers get stuck in what their expectations are. And it looks like Civilization in a lot of important ways. It
happens all the time.
It does not play that way. And it's almost like surprising. And the fact that you have to go in and be like, all right, Encyclopedia, tell me what I'm playing. I have to go and get this iron to make these tools, to make this other shop, make other things for other people. I thought I was playing a Civilization game. And I'm going to put all of these forces into a specific battalion to have a specific arrangement and all these other aspects of the game that aren't in Civilization. Doesn't make them better, doesn't make them worse, but they're different. And I think that sometimes is jarring for people. So I'm not surprised by kind of middling scores. I think as it stands right now in the summer of 2025, it's probably an 8 or a 9 more than a 6 or a 7.
Wow. So really good then.
It's really good.
Okay.
It's addictive. It's got that one more turn quality. It's gorgeous to look at. It's got a lot of new ideas. But again, I want to disclaim, this is from a guy that loves Anno and loves Civilization. So you combine those and have some kind of weird love child and you call it Ara, works for me.
Yeah, I feel bad because I don't really know these games super well, so I don't know the kind of questions to ask you, I suppose. But yeah, I don't know. It's on Game Pass. I just saw it too. So if you guys are curious about it, you could check it out there as well.
I was hoping it was still on Game Pass. I just didn't know when they stopped publishing it, whether they took it off.
Oh, wait. Does Microsoft own this studio?
No,
or did they just publish it?
They did publish it. So Oxide Games, I unfortunately know too much about this. Oxide Games is a sister/subsidiary of Stardock. Stardock makes a number of 4X games like Galactic Civilizations. I'm not going to get the name right. Sorcerer King, I think Fallen Enchantress, some other things that are 4X games in the PC space. Because of their relationship with Oxide, because I don't know, they wanted to, Microsoft wanted out. I can't speak to that specifically. They took over publishing of this game. Xbox no longer publishes this game. And that's why I didn't know whether it would still be in Game Pass or not.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, it looks like it's still there for now, but okay, well, our history Untold, there you go. If you're into 4X games and maybe give it a look, Hoeg recommends it.
Please do, yeah. And it's on sale right now. So I try to make the suggestions timely. I understand people's wallets, 2025, maybe not as full as you would like them, but sure. I can recommend this one on a 50% sale, certainly.
Okay, cool. All right, boys, let's move on to Sorted Out. On this segment, we just talk about something that we're not pleased with in the gaming industry. Needs some work. Hoeg, let's stick with you, man. Is there anything you're kind of laughing already?
I am, because my Sorted Out, which I had erroneously written down for notes here as sit down because I couldn't quite remember what the bad one was called. I apologize, Brad. Is funny to me
sit
because
down is a funny thing to say. Call it sit down.
Keep it up and sit down. I thought it's the opposite of up, but. Yeah, is because Gene was talking about GameSpot just now. I have on my list fearmongers, and specifically GameSpot on this because I just did a virtual legality on the Switch 2 and Nintendo account online user license agreement that specifies how you can use their various services and what bad things they can do to you when you don't use them correctly. And there was a whole host of articles across gaming journalism a few weeks ago after Stephen Totilo, formerly of Kotaku and MTV Games, put out a game file article regarding the user license agreement and the fact that Nintendo was putting in a bit of language that said, we can strip your system of usability if you violate these terms. And I wanted to talk to people about them because a lot of the headlines out there were, you don't own your Switch 2, or Nintendo wants to brick your system, and all these various things. And even now, with you see Nintendo taking online support away from people that are using, I'm going to get this name wrong, but I think it's MIG cartridges to use off-brand software on their Switch 2, that Nintendo is taking action, that Nintendo is not allowing these particular systems to go online, not use Nintendo accounts. That's obviously more important in 2025 than it might have been in prior years in the video game industry because of the way people's libraries are kept. That those are still getting reported on as Nintendo's using this language to brick systems. And I'm answering in my comments in various places that that's not what bricking means. Brick is to have the functionality of a brick. And if you can't get online, that's different than destroying the hardware in your hand. And we can have this conversation more fulsomely, more completely, with more nuance than if you just put out headlines that say, that Switch 2, you don't own it, and things like that. So I really want the fearmongers, the headline writers that are looking for those clicks. I understand you need to be in business, you need to keep the lights on, but to try to be a little bit more nuanced and understanding of the issues in play, because people really do take this stuff seriously, unfortunately. And I want folks to get the best information they can so that they can decide for themselves what this language means to them. I don't blame anybody for saying, I hate this language, I don't want a Nintendo because of it. But you have to understand what it says to make that distinction for yourself.
Right. Okay, Gene, what about you? Anything this week?
I will echo Hoeg's Sorted Out to games journalists. They, along with the clickbait, they call Kit and Krista, the two former Nintendo PR folks, executives, and
I did see that
it's
one.
It's like, two former Nintendo executives say that the Mario game is probably long off if the Mario game is made by a Donkey Kong game. And it's like, first of all, they're not executives, right? Like how old are you? How long into adulthood have you been in to not realize that managers are not executives, right? Like, have you worked at a company before, other than a fucking Nintendo Live website where they have an editor and nothing else or whatever, just run by a bunch of like weirdo kids, Or have you worked in an actual company before with director level jobs and actual executives, So much so that Kid and Krista had to come out and correct it. They had to put a whole TikTok or Instagram reels making fun of it. And it's like, no, we're not executives. You promoted us. Secondly, why the fuck is so much of journalism? Oh, I heard this on a podcast, so let me just rewrite it. Let me journalists are always complaining about like, oh, these fucking content creators are always taking our journalism and then feeding it into their channels. Like, well, what the fuck is going on right now, man?
Yeah.
You know, you're just listening to a fucking podcast and reheating it and re-digesting it and shitting it out to the public.
Yeah.
With a false headline, you know? That's the kind of shit that endangers our jobs to AI, you know? Because you know what AI can do? They can easily crawl through social media and just write whatever they saw on social media. You can crawl through a podcast and listen to that and just fart it out, you know?
Yeah.
Through AI. Oh, Nintendo said this or whatever like that. And third of all, it's just fucking speculation. They don't, you know, PR people don't know anything about the development process. They might know like how far along a game might be to start planning for a PR campaign, you know, and you would know that well in advance. But you wouldn't know when the Mario team is working on a Mario game. You wouldn't know how long their processes are. You're not in there at all, period. You know?
Yeah.
You help communicate that. So it's just like, this is why I don't call myself a games journalist, man. Like, this is just a pathetic a field of kids who have no life experience and who are just just ruining the discourse, you know.
I never called myself a games journalist either, Gene. Because like I wasn't doing journalism, you know. I wasn't really like, maybe I'd interview dev, but I didn't consider myself a journalist. I wasn't going out and getting scoops and shit like that. Like you're saying, everyone's just regurgitating stuff and getting stuff wrong very often.
Yeah, that's like and you're just getting it wrong. Like you know, there was just that quote about, you know, Sakurai quote unquote supporting AI, and it's just a Google mistranslation, you know, and it's like, you know, like. That's why, like, in real journalism places like the Washington Post, you know, like, not to toot our own horn, but it's like when we need to translate something, we would not rely on Google Translate to do that. We would ask a Japanese person to translate that for us, or a professional translator to do that for us, you know. But again, a lot of these gaming sites are cheap. You know, they're run by a Burger King Kids Club, you know, type of people.
Yeah, the Wheels kid. Yeah.
Wheels kids, Jaws, you know.
Yeah.
The Kid Vid, you know.
Yeah.
Damn, I'm getting hungry for.
This is open to memory for me.
Burger King onion rings now.
I know. We've brought up the Burger King kids like multiple times. Hoeg, me, Gene, and like Micah bring them up too much.
It's a meme,
just,
yeah.
It's just funny. I was like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "Then, oh no, those little toys." Oh yeah.
No. The Burger, you know, they were very diverse too. You know, they come from very diverse backgrounds. You know, fucking
they're ready to go.
Yeah. What was the artist's name? The Mexican.
Oh, I don't know.
Burger King Kids Club.
Live research right here.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it was the Kid Vid, Boomer, IQ, JD. Oh, the fucking Mexican kid's name was Lingo.
Man, the 90s were sick, dude.
That was crazy, man. They might as well call Kid Vid Whitey, you know.
It's like a Token from South Park, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then the Asian girl's name is Jazz. So at least there's that. You know, he's not the black kid. You know?
They're all very cool.
Yeah.
Is the point.
They are. Gene, games journalism, the reputation's in the dump. And they're not helping themselves. No one likes game journalists nowadays.
No.
So, and they're not helping their cause. They're dying.
Well, one thing I do want to say, because I did mention him earlier, is that I was actually really happy with Stephen Totilo not overselling what he had found. He goes through his article talking about the license agreement and describing it as
Totilo's a good guy.
Relatively normal for the way legal documents are, which it is. But then it was picked up on and then exploded across these various other websites.
Yeah,
so I think there are good journalists out there.
There's a couple, but the vast majority sucks.
Yeah, a lot of it is just clickbait, farm bait, SEO bait. Not even SEO bait anymore. It's just like rage bait. PC Gamer is another one. It's like, oh my god.
Oh, they've changed their entire headline structure. And I used to love PC Gamer.
PC Gamer used to be so professional and like serious, and like now it's like, this is so unserious. Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, holy shit. It's crazy. Like PC Gamer is worse than Kotaku, honestly. Quite honestly, I think, you know, at this point.
Certainly in their headlines.
Yeah, their headlines and like like how often they rage bait. I think Kotaku is relatively calmer now at this point.
Yeah,
You know?
and I don't read any of those things anymore.
Yeah,
because they are just rage bait and it sucks.
Mhm.
So
that's sad because you should be able to get your information.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's less of a sort of and more of a go fuck yourself or fuck off.
Both. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gene, mine is just kind of, I guess Hoeg as well. It's just like the term. Everyone just keeps using the term slop to describe everything, dude. Like games, like it's fucking lazy, man. Get a little more creative. I just see people saying slop all the time, and it's fucking boring, dude.
Yeah, I saw the phrase katana slop.
Katana slop.
there's so many samurai and ninja games right now, and it's like, man, don't call Onimusha katana slop.
Yeah,
man.
shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up, dude.
Yeah, shut the fuck up, bitch. Don't you dare call Onimusha that.
Yeah.
For the record, if you started calling your downvote segment that, I would remember it.
I mean, we could change it.
Yeah. Slop moment or whatever.
Yeah, slop moment. Yeah.
Slop
comments.
I do think the reason why the phrase slop has become so prevalent nowadays is because there's honestly just quite a lot of content. You know, there's just a lot of it. You know, there's like everything is like could be slop because there's just a lot of everything almost. You know.
Yeah, but you think just open a fucking dictionary, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like pre-digested, preheated, like, you know, journalism slop.
Yeah.
Like,
if you're gonna use if you're gonna use the term slop, make sure it's actually slop, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Anyways, open a fucking dictionary.
Very overused phrase. It's part of the whole cynicism of gaming right now, you know, and
everything sucks in gaming.
So bad.
Gaming was better.
Yeah.
Play some other games, dumbass. There's so many games right now. It's crazy.
There are so many games.
There's like a game for everybody.
Yeah, I retweeted this one dude saying that, you know, that was mocking the phrase "expand your horizons" because he's like, you know, back then we didn't even expand our horizons. We just got Splinter Cell, we got NBA Street, we got all this stuff. And I retweeted him and say, "Oh yeah, he's right. Like sports games used to be a lot more diverse than not." And then everyone goes getting mad at me because he's like, "Oh, but he says all these other games suck." I didn't say that he was right about that part. Like, you know, it's like
that's the thing with tweeting, right? It's like I do not adopt every notion that whoever I've retweeted has in the entire universe.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not co-signing everything he said. I just said that he was right about the sports games.
That slow clap game that just came out, that soccer one.
Oh yeah, FIFA rematch.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to fucking hear that shit about sports games. Like, there's so many like changes on sports games. They're just not all like done by EA and shit.
I know. I need to play that FIFA.
I do miss EA big.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, EA did used to have more diverse games, but you know that's pretty.
Yeah, because games used to be cheaper to make for a lot of these people.
Yeah,
they ain't now, but they're still playing those games out there. They're just not done by EA. Hey, expand your horizons. All right.
Gotta expand your horizons.
I just got pissed off. All right. We got to move on.
It's a lot of things to be pissed off about. It's complaint slop, you know.
Yeah, it's complaint slop. Yeah.
Well said, Gene.
I'll allow that. That one's funny, actually. Yeah. Slop. All right.
Slop. Yeah.
Let's move on before I get pissed again. Let's see. This time for Keep It Up, the exact opposite stuff we're pleased with. Hoeg, let's start with you again. Anything you're pleased with in gaming?
Yeah, usually I try to make these broader so that they're more applicable to a lot of folks. But this one I really wanted to narrow down because I am really pleased with 11-Bit Studios. And we haven't talked about it yet. We haven't talked about the Alters yet. But this is a company that is focused on making unique games. I like variety. I like that novelty. They made the Alters, which we're going to talk about as part of this episode. They made Frostpunk 2. They're publishing a Moonlighter sequel. Moonlighter is one of my favorite indie games. And they have a quote on their website that I really love that really speaks to me that says, "Games are a language of storytelling. We're looking for games that develop and expand this language." I have long said that games give you a unique feeling of being a part of these stories that you're telling. I remember playing Final Fantasy VI in the 90s and saying that is something different than reading a book. That is something different than watching a movie. And that should be expanded upon. And in some ways, gaming has not gone in some of the directions that I would have hoped for it to evolve from the mid 90s. But in some ways, it's gotten even better. And I love highlighting and talking about the great things that given publishers and companies are doing in this space. And to me, 11-bit is out there taking big swings. And I would rather see companies take big swings and miss sometimes. Some of the stuff on their list are not things that worked for me, but were clearly big swings and did work for other people. Like, I think it's Indica is a game that a lot of people like that I really didn't connect with. But they also published that one. I love to call out when I see these things happening, and I think 11-bit Studios deserves to keep it up as of right now.
Okay, very good. Gene, anything for you?
Not really. Keep it up to Kojima.
Hey, that's what mine's going to be too, because I haven't even played Death Stranding 2, but I know I'm going to enjoy it a lot.
Keep it up to Kenji Yano and Shuya Murata, his co-writers on Death Stranding 2.
Oh, okay.
And his longtime co-writers for Metal Gear.
Yeah.
So, I forget whether they also co-wrote a DS1, but it truly is like the Metal Gear team coming back and it's like, hey, let's tell a really good story that people will really, really like. And I don't know, like I can't. Keep it up, Decima Engine. There you go.
Yeah.
And Guerrilla deserves credit for that, right?
Yeah. So far, Herman Hulst and Guerrilla, Herman Hulst gets beat over the head a lot for all the PlayStation decisions, but he came from Guerrilla, and Guerrilla created this magical engine that just is 3 for 3 or 4 for 4 in terms of excellent games that run well, that are the industry standard for visuals. It's just fantastic. The beauty of these environments are incredible, and no ray tracing in any of Death Stranding. It just looks all beautiful and natural. And some of the I'm talking about Death Stranding too again, but some of the reflections, like you can tell that they're screen space reflections, but that's only if you're really looking for that. You're like, oh my god, the reflections disappear when I look all the way down at my feet. That'll happen, but otherwise it looks great. I think I mentioned before, punching up the day and night cycle is fantastic. I don't know, just a really, really wonderful game. I can't stop talking about it.
Gene, you don't have to apologize to me for keep bringing up Death Stranding 2. I love it when somebody seemingly is so excited about the experience they just had, they keep wanting to talk about it in different places. It makes me more excited about the thing. So don't apologize to me for that.
Yeah,
if you can bring up Death Stranding related to Dicey Dungeons, more power to you.
Look, Death Stranding 2 is my game of the year. Way over Expedition 33.
Oh, shit.
Way over Expedition 33. I'm sorry.
Get ready for the commenters there.
Absolutely.
I've been down that road.
The new Nier fans.
I already have comments right now and say, oh, of course the industry is dick riding Kojima over a game that changes everything about the industry. Expedition 33. They're like South Park San Franciscans. When they talk
smelling their own farts.
Farts, and they have to look up where they're like, oh, Expedition 33 is just changing the way the AAA industry is working.
30-man dev team.
A 33-man dev team with a dog.
Yeah.
And Ben Starr and Charlie Cox, who only recorded 4 hours of footage. And we got
that clip.
We got that performance out of it. Oh my God. But then Kojima has to have weeks of Norman Reedus, and it's there's a difference. It's an incredible performance, Luca Marinelli, incredible, the best performance in the game as Neil. The Neil story is awesome, and that's all. I will leave it at that.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
So we moved on from Sword Out too quick before because I was pissed off. We went to keep it up. I forgot to read what the listeners wrote in. So we had a couple of So we're gonna go back in time.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's from Scott's Holdsworth. Hey, Brad and his beautiful boys. I would like to issue a Sorted Out to myself. When Hoeg was on last, he mentioned Final Girl. Well, something in my loins stirred. Next minute, I ordered all 3 series Ultimate boxes without even rolling a dice.
Yes.
Then kicked off a new hobby of solo board gaming, to which I have dropped thousands into as I build my collection. So, Scott, sort your shit out. And thank you, Hoeg, for opening my eyes to a whole new world. Blessing on yours.
I can't speak highly enough about Final Girl, but don't spend thousands of dollars if it's going to hurt you.
Spend all your money, Scott. Go broke. YOLO. Do people? No one says that anymore. That's too old.
Oh yeah, nobody says YOLO anymore at all, ever.
Yeah.
That really died with us millennials, huh?
Yeah, that was
Gen
it.
Z don't say it. I don't think so.
For real.
Yeah, for real is what they say.
Yeah.
Whenever I need my pulse on something Zoomer, I just see what Radic's up to and see how he's speaking. I'm like, oh, okay.
That's true. Radic is definitely like part of the Gen Z pulse.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I get my updates from my daughters.
He unironically says for real.
Yeah. For real.
I get a lot of for real. I get a lot of no cap from my girls.
Wow.
No cap. Yeah. Yeah. Even Cog misunderstood what cap meant.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yeah. He actually people had to be like, no, Cog, that's not what cap means.
Do you remember what he thought it meant?
I forgot. I think cap means like lie, right? Like
right.
No lie.
Yeah.
I think I forgot what it was about. Yeah, I totally forgot. But it was like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, whatever. We're old, dude.
I do also notice them adopting low key and high key in various places in their sentence structure.
Low key and high key. Yeah, it's like when cool or rad survives through the generations. Like low key.
I keep using rad.
Yeah, rad is awesome. Rad is timeless.
Rad is not dying with me.
Yeah, Brad right here.
I still say rad. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, be rad.
Yeah.
But I think low key and high key has survived the.
I've never said high key.
I said high key before, but not,
I hear both.
Definitely not as much as low key though. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Whatever. As Stitch Paredes wrote in. Sorted out Xbox fanboys. This is a good one. These children still believe they are in the console war like it's 2013. Incredible job by Microsoft gaslighting them for years after year. They swear it is a flex that Xbox games are on PlayStation, and now they call the new ally the next Xbox console. Gosh, it's a little embarrassing out there. Just for the record, I am an agnostic player who is currently playing on Game Pass, and I was on the Xbox side back in those days, but boys, Xbox got beat so bad they had to create a complete market for them to exist. That is and that is admirable for Microsoft, but the war has been over for more than 10 years. Grow up. I'm sure that just pissed off a lot of people, and I love write-ins like this.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with your commenter, honestly, on this, which is to say, Xbox is dead, but long live Xbox. They're a different thing now. They lost the console wars. Absolutely correct. Sony won. However you feel about that, that's okay. But Xbox is going to be around as something different from just boxes under your TV and warring for that space.
Yeah. War's changed.
War has changed.
Yeah,
Get Ron Perlman to record the opposite.
Yeah. Oh, sorted out to Shuhei Yoshida for talking about graduating to Nintendo from Nintendo PlayStation.
Yeah, you think him and Colin were
either sorted out to him or sorted out to his English, because maybe like he didn't quite mean like mature as in like, oh, only PlayStation has Mortal Kombat, like
right, yeah.
Like I don't think he quite meant that. Maybe he meant, just more mature technologies or whatever like that. But here's the thing, though. It started out to the discourse, maybe that Shuhei started, right?
Yeah, gaming discourse is so annoying. I mean, I guess most discourse on the line is annoying nowadays, anyways.
Yeah. Started out to all the discourses, but this one in particular, it's like people are like, oh, but Nintendo is still for kids, and it's like, you know what is actually a mature system? When you're mature enough that you have kids of your own, and that the only console really that makes sense for your kids to play is the Nintendo console. If you want to talk about real maturity here, real growth in your life, you're not playing dad games anymore. You're a dad that needs to play games with their kids.
I like that take. Yeah, I tweeted out a Bible take because I said, I saw that quote and I'm reminded of the putting away childish things Bible verse is really about getting away from the immature notions of what it means to be childish and not being able to accept googly eyes and bright color graphics because that's not edgy enough for you. that Nintendo is mature in its own way. And by the time you realize that, you'll have maturity.
Yeah, the last time I cared about something that was bloody or edgy or titty focus was when I was 13. So mature. You know, that's not maturity. That's just learning to figure out what's actually good. You know.
Yeah.
That's why the M is so funny, right? Because M basically means gory and sexualized at this point in video games. It's not; those things aren't specifically mature in and of themselves. It's just that we like to keep impressionable people away from those things as a society. So that's not maturity as much as it's kind of subjective to things we don't want you to see.
Yeah. Gene, you know what I like when you're on here and we do sorted outs because we just start calling everyone bitch. Like, shut up, bitch. Yeah.
Shut the fuck up, bitch.
Stupid my favorite.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Yeah. Also, before the Expedition 33 fans jump on me, I love that game. I think it's a fantastic game.
We all do. We all really love it.
You know, I probably like it more than most people in this network, you know.
It's a great game. You should play it.
Maddie, I think Maddie might like it slightly more than
Maddie's.
I think Maddie's likes it slightly more than me.
I agree with you, by the way, Gene, that this discourse, the Expedition 33 discourse, got away from the actual subject matter at some point that I can't fully identify. But yes, as someone that likes that game but does not view it as the paragon platonic ideal of a video game,
I don't think so.
It's very difficult to be online and talk with anybody about any of these things because I know I'm loud. I know I'm a lawyer. I know my volume was set too high on that spoiler cast. You don't need to tell me again, folks. I've gotten your messages, but it's not perfect. And there are people out there, whether it's you, commenter, that's about ready to yell at me or not, that are out there saying, how dare you? This is the most important thing that's ever existed. And it's not.
Change the genre. They just changing the genre of the game.
It's just funny to me to make fun of people like that. Not even about the game.
No. I'm making fun of the people who glaze the game that way.
That's what I'm telling you, man. It's the new Nier fans, dude. I love the Nier games, but you guys are annoying as fuck about Nier.
We're Nier fans that annoying. I guess I haven't been in the Nier community to discover that.
It's been a while. It's been a while,
maybe.
Automata came out a long time ago.
Because I did play Automata like a year later too, so it's like I wasn't like around then, you know.
Dude,
that must be that would really annoy the shit on me because I love Nier Automata. I probably would be one of those fans if I know better to just shut the fuck up sometimes, you know.
Yeah,
just let people enjoy it. You know, like one of the most irritating things is like when people are doing a let's play with Nier Automata and like you hear the other person say, "Oh, dude, this next part is gonna be."
Oh my god, yeah,
you know?
Drives me crazy.
Listen to the musical cues in this next part. It's like, oh, shut the fuck up! Oh my fucking god, that's exactly what's happening in Expedition 33.
I know. That's what I said, Gene.
Yeah. That's exactly what's happening in Expedition 33. Yeah, they're like, oh my god, dude, when you get to this part though, oh my god, dude, you have to let me know, you know?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
I really am glad that it connected with so many people. Of course. I don't share your belief that it's the best thing in the history of mankind. And I do have a fear that certain more susceptible RPG making game companies might decide that their game needs to look like Expedition 33. And I would hope that isn't the case, but we'll see.
Yeah, I've seen people request a debate between Hoeg and I because I actually like the game a lot more than Hoeg does.
Debate?
Well, the funny thing though, it would be kind of funny to have like a mock trail. With a lawyer,
yeah, sure.
With Brad as judge or something, you can put on your judge's outfit that you put on with that live show that one time.
Yeah.
But because like I agree with Hoeg that I don't think it's the best thing ever, and you know, like I think we share that sentiment completely. But I disagree with him on the way he dislikes it. That's all.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, and I disagree with the way Maddie and Cog like it too. Like I only like and dislike Expedition 33 in my own unique way for some reason. You know.
There you go.
Yeah.
It would be pretty boring if we all agreed on all this stuff. I say that all the time.
True. That's true. If we were all like, oh my god, though, 33 people at the dog.
Yeah, 33 people made the game, dude.
Yeah, all of us at the same time, just putting our noses up.
Yeah.
But even less than that, if we agreed on exactly why it was good and why it was bad, like those would be boring conversations.
Yeah. All we can do is just be honest.
That's all I try to do.
People like it or not. Because you can't please everybody.
Nope.
All right. Let's read some write-ins from Keep It Up. This is from Rocket Man. Greetings and keep it up too, physical game guide authors. I am a 40-year-old, so I grew up with physical game guides, whether it be Nintendo Power or standalone game guides that you could pick up at the cashier at GameStop with your new and shiny Metal Gear 3 Snake Eater, for example. They would offer tips, lore, quest walkthroughs, and lots of insight into the game, a true companion to your gaming experience. I was more and more sad to see them go away as gaming websites became bigger and easier to access. The last game guide I ever bought was Fallout 4, which came with the Ultimate Edition of the game, and it was great. Still have the Nuka-Cola caps from it. Anyway, with the release of Death Stranding 2 this month, I got really in the mood for getting a game guide for it, which could help me get through or keep up with the characters, story, lore, and of course, some bigger tips, which for this kind of game are essential. I was sad to see that no official game guides are being released for it, but went to Amazon and found that there are many unofficial ones by independent authors with story recap, lore, missable side quests, tips, and more. Best part is they are available already now before the release of DS2, so I can have it on day one. I immediately bought the one that had the best cover because that's what proper procedure with all books, right, Gene?
That's so I
wanted to give a proper keep it up to those independent authors who can't possibly be making much money out on these physicals, out of these. But God damn it, I'm just all over the place. Hold on. Let me reread this. So I wanted to give a proper keep it up to those independent authors who can't possibly be making much money out of these, but put in the effort for all those old fucks who still enjoy physical media. We appreciate you. Best regards, Rocket Man.
I love that. There's a couple of
stuff, right?
I was gonna say there's a couple of things there, right? Because Mr. Moriarty is helpful, is partly responsible for kind of wiping out the physical strategy landscape.
That's true. He is.
The other thing I would add to this, though, that I've found some success with, because I also like physical books and to look at things that remind me of the favorite video games that I have, is I do recommend art books. One of my favorite art books is The Art of Death Stranding, that has some really awesome concept art, giant whales on beaches and whatnot that you can imagine with Death Stranding. You don't quite get the same strategy for the game. You do get insight into aspects of the lore. I always look for these that have the art and have like little snippets from either the artists or the producers of these games. A lot of games have those more than they have strategy guides at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Man, strategy guides were sick back in the day. I needed it for Majora's Mask when it came out, just to figure out how to get all the masks.
I remember them for like King's Quest and Space Quest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, who goes that?
Oh, no, I was just saying I remember them for King's Quest and Space Quest. Those were very difficult for young Hoeg.
Oh, yeah. A lot of those games. Back in the day, if you couldn't figure it out, too bad, kid.
Yeah, Nintendo strategy guides, I definitely got the Zelda ones just because, like I want to collect them. And yeah, actually, a book for Death Stranding 2 would be pretty nice. Yeah.
I bet they've got a plan for an art book. They did an art book for the first
I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
All right.
There's an Art of Death Stranding book for the first game. So
it's great.
I wonder if I might get that. Yeah, I might just get that. Oh, here we go. On the beach. November 11, 2025. So
I love that subtitle. It makes me laugh every time.
On the beach.
On the beach. Yeah. Great subtitle.
All right. This is from Blaine Reinking. Brad, I'd love to give a shout out and keep it up to Techland. I'm a huge Dying Light fan. I bought the deluxe edition of Dying Light 2 when released for the promise of future DLC and expansions. With Dying Light the Beast becoming a way bigger experience than they originally planned for, they still gave me a free copy of Dying Light the Beast. I would have gladly just accepted a 50% off discount. Great to know there are some developers out there that aren't greedy money hogs and will still do right by the players. Yeah, that is interesting. They just made a really big like standalone separate game instead of DLC and given to you for free. I think it's like a $60 game too. So that's pretty nice.
Yeah, good on them.
Yeah, I played that at Summer Game Fest and it was pretty cool actually.
I heard good things.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, I like this. I never finished 2 though, so I'd have to finish 2 before that.
I also did not finish 2, but I like 2.
I played it right when it came out and it's kind of a little buggy at the time. All right, now we're going to get a game recommendation from the audience for the audience. Not for us, we get enough of that shit. This is for the audience, so. This is from Hard Man from Mega Man. Hi, summon chodes. Wow. Pipistrello and the Cursed Yo-Yo. If you haven't played it yet, then I highly recommend checking it out. This game, which has been described as a GBA Zelda Metroidvania-esque style experience, is objectively beautiful. Has fleshed out gameplay, great vibes, a soundtrack composed by Yoko Shimomura of Kingdom Hearts fame, and is all around genuine diamond in the rough. What you'll see in trailers is only the surface of not just how much is in the game, but also the quality of it all throughout. I had to write in and give it the game some shine to some gents that I know will appreciate it. Thanks for all the great content and stroke one out for me tonight. Whoa. Rub one out for them? No thanks, Hard Man. I do love Mega Man, though. I've heard a lot about this game. People have been recommending this to me for quite a while, so I really want to get into it.
I wrote it down. What kind of game is it?
Pipistrello. They said it's like Zelda from like GBA stuff.
Oh, okay.
Objectively beautiful. I think the character looks insane. This does look like a GBA kind of... It reminds me of like Mina the Hollower almost. The way it looks. I don't like the way it looks as much, but it looks interesting. Yeah, definitely need to keep it on my radar,
check
I guess.
It out. That's cool stuff.
Yeah. Okay, very nice recommendation, Hard Man. Okay, Hoeg, Dicey Dungeons.
Yes, Dicey Dungeons. So we were just talking about Final Girl and solo board gaming, and I love board games. It's something we don't talk about enough here at Last Stand Media. I'm trying to get a board game show at some point, not me necessarily, but to talk about board games. But I love board games primarily because of the elegance of them, right? When you have to figure out how you're going to ship something, when you have to figure out what you're going to put in a box, game designers are constrained by what they can actually fit, the number of dice that you can have, the number of cards you can play. And video games, as much as I love them, one of the things that designers do with video games a lot is they kind of brute force systems, right? When you can have the CPU figure all these things out, we can do all of these calculations, we can do all this elaborate stuff, and maybe take away some of the design elegance that you see in board games. Dicey Dungeons is the opposite of that. Dicey Dungeons is this kind of Slay the Spire-esque roguelike dungeon crawl type game where you are a dice. And I know that's grammatically incorrect. For whatever reason, the game calls you a dice rather than a die. In all circumstances. So you're a dice in this game. You're a person from the world that has been transformed into a dice, and you pick a class. You have warrior and scientist and robot and witch and all these various classes. That dice will have a specific special thing that they can do. And then you're rolling dice to fight enemies that you meet in nodes in these very simply defined dungeons. And you fight these people. And the simplest mechanism is, if you're the warrior, say that's the simplest class, and you've got a sword, then it'll say dice damage of sword of whatever your dice is. And you roll a 2, you do 2 damage. You roll a 6, you do 6 damage. That's the easiest thing to kind of explain. And then you're finding treasures and you get different equipment. And that different equipment might say, all right, you are going to do double the damage of what you roll, but you're going to take single the damage yourself. Or if you get a 6 and you put it in here, you're going to shock them, and that's going to be a specific effect. Or if you can put a 4 here, you're going to get it back, because usually the dice is spent when you use it for an attack. And you combine these different classes and the different things they can do. I said warrior is the easiest because they're just basically hitting things. The robot doesn't have a set number of dice. The robot has a CPU limit of, say, 11 or 12 or 13, and you're asking for more dice and hoping that you don't break the bank. And if you do break the bank, you can't use any of your equipment. There's all these various ways that these different classes do things, on top of the fact that there are different setups for what they call episodes, of the premise of this being that you're on a show with Lady Luck and you're trying to get your wish granted as this dice. It's very simple. It's very ridiculous. It's not any story or narrative heavy. It's all designed to be, as I said, elegant for these various things. But if you can imagine the different pieces of equipment, the roguelike kind of advancement through a game of this type, and then different powers of the people, and then different constraints that they can put on you for these different episodes. Like episode 2 of the warrior might be that you're cursed every turn, which means that your equipment has a 50% chance of breaking when you try to use it. And various other things that happen. Each episode sets up a different kind of quality. Every class has their own treasures to find. The various monsters can have biographies that you earn by completing challenges, all this silly little stuff. This is my favorite version of this kind of elegant, I'm just going to play, I'm going to sit down and throw dice and try to beat monsters in a dungeon until it ends. Each run is probably only 30 minutes or 45 minutes. Like you can get to the end pretty easily. Yeah. It's not one of these 6-hour marathons of I really don't have the time to play this all the way through. You're going to get to the end. And in fact, they're short enough. This is the same problem I have with like binging TV shows. They're short enough that you wind up playing that third episode when you really shouldn't, as the clock clicks over to 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. And I've really found myself playing this game late into the night a couple of times in the last couple of weeks. And I couldn't recommend it more. This is one of those things that is greater than the sum of its parts. It has really fun characterizations that are not often enough to really bother you. There's not a ton of narrative, but when it's there, it's funny. Some of the monsters talk and have lines to you. And I really think it's a lot of fun, but you have to play it more than I can describe it to you, because it really is just throwing dice and putting them into slots and trying to figure out ways that you can beat these enemies. The enemies have their own equipment. They do various things, all of which are very smartly designed and get to that same kind of elegant point that I love in places like Final Girl and other board games.
Do you think the rules are simple enough? It's easy for most people to just kind of hop into, or do you feel like there's a lot you got to learn?
100% easy enough. Absolutely. Okay. And they don't introduce all the classes at once. You have to beat, you don't have to beat an episode, but you have to play an episode with each class before the next one opens up. They go in order of trickiness.
Okay. Yeah.
Like the witch doesn't have equipment. The witch sets up spells in advance that she can then use from her spell book. And you have to spend a dice to use that spell, et cetera, et cetera. All these kinds of different things that are more complicated are introduced slowly. So it has a ramp. Okay. And even at its most complex, it's less complex than something like, say, Monster Train. I actually bought this because I was playing Monster Train, which I really enjoy, Monster Train 2. But this is like even more streamlined than Monster Train.
Okay. Yeah, it looks very charming. It's only $15 too.
It is, and it's often on sale, I think. I think it was on sale on the eShop when I got it. I'm playing it on my Switch too.
Oh, okay.
Again, using that power to its maximal extent. Yeah. But I'm very much enjoying it on the Switch.
Vincent Castro wrote in, Hoeg, Dicey Dungeon is an amazing game, and I'm glad to see someone in the LSM network playing it. It reminds me a lot of what I appreciate about playing Balatro, or Balatra, I think that's how you say it. I love these kinds of games, and I was wondering if you had any other recommendations of what else to play that's in the similar vein. Thanks, and I can't wait to see what's this new show Someone Sings all about. Yeah, I wrote Someone Sing for the thread at first.
Hey, that's okay. We can sing these out.
Yeah, that's right.
No, I think Balatro is actually a great pull for this. It's that kind of simplicity, right, that can easily get overly complicated as you go on through a run. It doesn't have that Joker element where it's changing things up on the fly as much as Balatro, but Balatro is a great pick for a game like Dicey Dungeons. I mentioned Monster Train. Similarly, Slay the Spire. It's that kind of game. Those are a little bit more complicated because they have bigger decks. You have to manage how often your cards are coming up, that kind of thing. But those are the ones that jump to mind as recommended for this kind of game. I don't know that I have another one that's an exact fit for this. This one actually seems to be at the pinnacle of that simple elegance that I like so much. But yeah, if you like Balatro, I think you'll like Dicey Dungeons. Check out Monster Train. Monster Train 2 is excellent. I can tell you that. It is more complicated than Dicey Dungeons, but there's a lot of really cool things in that game.
Cool. Very nice. All right, next thing is what I've been playing, which is The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker, because it's on Switch 2, on the GameCube Virtual Console, and I've played this game many times throughout my life. I will say right away that it looks great on Switch 2. It looks really nice. I'm one of those people that I prefer the way the original looked compared to the HD version. They kind of went a little too crazy on some of the effects, I think. Like
I'm with you. Way too much bloom, right?
Yeah, some of the colors I don't like as much. So I like the way I like this one more the way it looks, but it's definitely missing some of those quality of life features, like the sail that you can get from the auction house.
The sail, man.
The sail.
That's what's like cutting me from playing the game. The sail, and also no save file on the offline, or no offline, like no online subscription play, whatever. But
really, oh yeah.
You play it offline, but like again, like I want to buy the game. I want to own the game versus
I want to own the game. Of course, I would definitely.
The sale is like the big thing for me, where I'm just like, ugh. I can deal with everything else. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The only thing that annoys me about the sale, I don't mind the speed. I'm pretty sure the sale in the HD version, though, you don't have to constantly change the wind direction.
Yes.
You can just kind of go.
Yeah.
And Wind Waker does this a lot, and I get very annoyed about it. You have to play or use the Wind Waker a lot to just change directions, which is annoying. I understand because like you need wind for the sail. Makes sense. But later on in some of the dungeons, you have companions with you, and you have to play the song to switch the companion to play as them for a little. And you do this a lot, and it really kills the pace. I feel like I'm feeling it more than I've ever felt. I was always kind of critical of Wind Waker's dungeons in a lot of ways, but I'm even more critical of them now. I think the first two are solid. I like the first two a lot, actually.
Yeah. But
then the three after that, dude, I'm just kind of like,
you gotta drag Makar around. Right?
Yeah, they're just kind of that one is better, I think, out of the other two, but they're all just kind of like not very exciting. I feel like
the little girl one is like, oh, that's
with
rough.
Medley. Yeah, I really disliked that one this time around.
One's rough. That one's a rough one to go through. Yeah, Makar isn't as bad, but like that's the start of it. But then like once you get to Medley, it's like,
Medley's was way worse. But the thing about Wind Waker is it's so charming outside of that. Like, of course, the world is awesome and beautiful, and like it looks great. The soundtrack is amazing. So it's a world I really like being in. But for some stuff I look for in Zelda, like the dungeons a lot, I'm disappointed in more than I remember.
I think now I understand why you like Twilight Princess like way better than Wind Waker.
Oh yeah, I mean the Twilight Princess dungeons blow those out of the water
because Twilight Princess hands down just has the best like 3D dungeons in the whole series. Definitely, right?
Yeah. So, but it's like I still like Wind Waker a lot. I mean, it's still fun to be there. It's still cool. I like sailing around.
I love the Wind Waker islands, and they all become like little puzzles and dungeons. Like those are awesome. And like that doesn't even have any hangups of like, oh, I gotta find the key or I gotta fucking summon this thing or that thing or whatever. It's just like, oh, you just solve the puzzle that's here in this island, and it's awesome. And get a heart piece. I love that.
Yeah, I'm at the part now in the game though where you can really tell that development was cut short, I should say. I'm about to start the Triforce quest, which is notorious.
Speed.
Yeah,
they
adjusted it in the HD version, but not in this version.
How did they adjust it in the HD version again? Like you don't have to collect as many.
I think they just streamlined a lot of it. Yeah, I'm trying to remember the exact details. I'd have to look, but they just made it more manageable.
Yeah. I think before you had to. Oh yeah, that's right. You had to find the map to find where to. You
have to find the map, then you have to bring it to Tingle and pay Tingle
to show you where it is in the ocean, and then you go to the ocean and then you dig it out, and it's like that's so
you need
tedious.
8 pieces, I think.
Yeah, I think in the HD collection it's just that you just get the pieces from where the map.
Yeah, that might be it.
I think something like that.
I'll have to double check all that stuff, but I'm about to do it, so it'll be interesting revisiting this part.
Yeah, I only played HD version once on the Wii U. I only played it once. I had a great time. It was awesome.
Yeah. The Wii U one does some nice quality of life things like that, which is cool.
Yeah,
but
that's why the perfect version would be the original one with all the mechanical quality of light changes.
Yeah,
from the second one.
That's what ideally I'd want. But
I know, but they'll never make that.
Yeah, but with the Nintendo, who knows, dude?
They'll never make that. I mean, it's Nintendo. Like any other company wouldn't make that either. And Nintendo is like 1,000%. Like we might not even get HD remaster at all.
Yeah. I've given up hope. Yeah. If it happens, cool, but I'm not expecting it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to say though, I do recommend Wind Waker if you haven't played it. Obviously, it's still great. I'm just a big Zelda fan, and I critique these things probably more than most people do, I suppose.
It's a top 5 for me. But
yeah. I mean, it's still awesome. It's not one of my favorite Zeldas, but I get why people love it so much.
Yeah, I think it's the vibes and the story that made me. And like its ending.
That's where it excels for sure.
Yeah, the story and the ending is like so awesome, right? And it's like probably the best one, arguably.
It has one of my favorite final fights, no question.
Oh, totally. Oh my god, the setting, the actual clash itself, it's awesome. It's kind of better than almost all of them. Tears of the Kingdom
Tears of the Kingdom is the best one.
Tears of the Kingdom finally beat it, for sure. But, it was a while for Wind Waker to get toppled in that regard. So,
Hoeg, you've played through this.
Yeah.
What are some of your thoughts and memories of Wind Waker?
So I love boats and water. Like, people know that about me. It's one of my favorite kind of things to do in video games. I'm known for loving Skull and Bones, among other things. And part of that is because I love pirate ships, I love islands, and I love that whole vibe. So Wind Waker hit me where I live there. I remember the controversy when this game was kind of first shown and revealed. And I don't even remember what show it had been in where there was a Zelda.
Space World.
A Link and a Ganon that looked
Space
more
World.
realistic. Yeah. And people were upset that it was this cartoon Link. I was not thrilled with the screenshots. I remember that when it came out. But I really love how the musical beats kind of interact with your combat and the little like puffs of smoke that come out, that kind of thing. I love that cartoonification. I don't like a bunch of the kind of characterization, the character art. I don't love, who's the pirate girl?
Tetra.
That you have. Like, I don't love like just her design, I guess. But I do like the game itself. I love having my little boat. I love the notion of it being a flooded Hyrule, that it's still the land that you know, but it's not. I think that was really cool and well implemented over the course of the game. But it's probably in like my top 5 Zelda games, but probably in like the 5th slot, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Still a great game. I have some problems with it, but absolutely check it out. If you've never played it, if you have a Switch 2, give it a go. Really fun, really charming game. Very easy also. One of the easiest 3D Zelda games. Because that parry is just OP in that game. All right, this is from Cole Smith. Hi, Summoners. I played Wind Waker way back in the day on GameCube. While I liked the overall art and aesthetic of the game, my main gripe with the game was the sailing and ocean exploration. I beat the game, but always hated that part, and it's the main reason I never played the game a second time. Brad, is it as bad as I remember? Also, this version of Ganon was amazing. Tingle, tingle, kulim pa! So, up to the Triforce quest, I don't think it's very bad at all. Like, sailing around, I don't think it's really not that bad. But I'm at that part now where this is the notorious part, so I need to reevaluate all of this kind of thing and see how I feel about it this time around. Gene or Ho, do you guys have any thoughts about that?
I know it's notorious from like just following these discussions. At the time, obviously the internet wasn't as big of a thing. I didn't have any notions that it was as bad as people have described it as. And I don't remember myself feeling like it was some big obstacle to be overcome in this particular game. But again, I was just playing it in my own dorm room at the time. I wasn't talking with people.
There was
online.
no outside noise. Maybe the first time I did it wasn't as bad because it's just going through the game the first time. But I definitely remember like getting to that part later on replays and just kind of being like, ugh.
I'm sorry, what part again?
Just like, well, we're talking specifically about the Triforce hunt.
Oh yeah,
at the end, but like, I guess just the sense of, because Cole wanted to know if it like just the ocean and sailing exploration was as bad as he remembers it being. So I don't think outside of just the Triforce hunt is that bad.
You're just getting there. So the Triforce hunt. So that's
I'll have to I'll reevaluate it after I finish it.
There are certainly parts of games that if you replay, you say, oh, not that again. Right? Like I love Final Fantasy 16. I've talked about that at length and I still do. But like when you get into the airship side quests where there's like 4 in a row.
Jesus Christ, dude.
It's like, I just want to get to the next thing, game.
Yeah.
When Mid is like, please collect these rocks from the sand. I'm like, oh my God, dude. That whole stretch is so awful.
The padding, there.
It is. I just don't think you feel it as much when you're like, I don't know when the next thing kicks
first
up.
time you don't. But yeah, replays definitely feel it way more.
Yeah.
I mean, I have stuff like that with every game, pretty much.
Every game. Resident Evil Village, one of my favorite games of all time, and like there's a second chapter that's like
Bienvento or whatever.
The House Bienvento, which is so awesome. No spoilers, but it's
first
such an
time.
awesome set piece. The first time, it was like moved me. It scared me. Second, like it just sucks to replay through, and I always have to like remind myself like what I gotta do so I can just get through this hurry so I can get back to the shooting and the zombie action.
Yeah.
every great game has that. Even Resident Evil 2 remake. I hate being Sherry. I hate acting like there's this fucking old sexual predator chasing me. That sucks.
Chief Irons.
It never. Yeah, Chief Irons. It never feels good to play that part. It's never cool. It's never satisfying. It's always like, I gotta hear this fucking gross fucking pervert just fucking talk shit to me for like 5 minutes every single time I play this game.
Yeah. This is from Will. Hey, Brad. I'm glad to see you're playing the Wind Waker on Switch too. It's my favorite game of all time, and the first real game I played and beat back on the GameCube in 2005. At 7 years old. Wow. So that was the first console generation I started out on.
Oh my god! Imagine being 7 years old and starting with Wind Waker. Holy fuck, dude! What's that to your brain?
If they released a widescreen port with 60 FPS, I'd buy it and play it instantly. But I'm going to hold off for now purchasing a Switch 2 just to play that. Regardless, is it as good as you remember it being? And are there some visual enhancements on the Switch 2? I hope to get back to that masterpiece one day. If they ever do a true sequel, which I know they won't, I think my life would be complete. Anyways, would love to hear your thoughts on how it holds up. And cheers to you and the rest of the crew. Well, they did do a sequel, and it's called Phantom Hourglass. And I don't like it. So, sorry, Will. You'll never get that. But yeah, I mean, it holds up in a lot of ways that I still remember, like we were saying, like the presentation and the vibe of the world. But those dungeons, man, worse than I remember in some regards. So it has dropped even further for me in some aspects. But like I was saying, still great. Have you guys played Phantom Hourglass?
I thought I did, but then I realized I was thinking of Spirit Tracks.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's after. Yeah. Spirit Tracks is better, in my opinion. Definitely.
Spirit Tracks is better. Phantom Hourglass is cool for its time, but it didn't age well.
It was a novel. Yeah.
It was a novel and cool, but it was definitely just a game made for its time and that platform,
Mm-hmm. All right. This is from King Ryan James. Hey, Summon Ussies. The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker is my favorite game of all time. Wow. Got a lot of those today.
Wow.
While it does struggle a little from pacing issues at times, I think the sense of adventure, the art style, and the story make this game stand up to any game ever. It's whimsical, touching, and fun in all the right ways, and it never gets old. Have you all played it? What are your thoughts? Yes, we've all played it, and those are thoughts. I agree with you on, like, we're saying the sense of adventure, the art style, the music, the vibe. Yeah, all that I agree on, but just some of the other areas I think it's lacking. I guess we all kind of agree.
I think that sense of adventure is right. That's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
RPGs. I love the Lunars and the Grandias and Wind Waker that has that kind of, it's time to go explore the world. Let's go off on an adventure kind of vibe. And Wind Waker does that maybe the best in the Zelda series.
Kind of, yeah. Other than Breath of the Wild, I think, because I think Breath of the Wild actually captured that magic for me too. But Wind Waker was definitely like my favorite overworld for a while, Again, I think it really comes down to the dungeons being the problem, I think, in Wind Waker. And the fact that they were not really well thought through, and there's so much of the music that you got to play through, it just makes it hard to replay. But for a time, Wind Waker was actually my favorite Zelda. I was like, sure. I like this better than Majora's Mask. And after some time, I was like, no, actually, Majora's Mask is much, much better. So, and Breath of the Wild is my favorite. Or Breath of the Wild / Tears of the Kingdom,
Your favorites?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, Zeldas are always really good, so everyone's got their own favorites.
Yeah. And the dungeons are weak in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, right? So it's like, even then, I'm still making caveats for...
Yeah, there's always caveats.
Dungeons aren't as good. Yeah. Twilight Princess, I think it has the best dungeon experience, but I just think the story is like not that great, and the wolf mechanic is like, kind of like nothing, But everything else about the game, the weapons and the equipment and all that stuff and just the world itself is super cool. Hyrule, it has the best Hyrule.
Best companion. With Midna.
Yeah, Midna.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. If you've played,
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that was shocking. I was like, oh my god,
that was a Gooner moment for sure.
I'm a real man now. That's for sure.
Yeah. That was good shit.
Yeah, this is grown-up Zelda for sure here.
Yeah. All right, Hoeg, The Altars, our final game for today.
I want to hear about this game, man.
Lockmore really liked this game a lot.
Yeah, this is another Expedition 33 where a lot of people are saying, "Oh my god, this game is changing everything," and it's like, okay, well, I'll listen because people were right about Expedition 33 being really good. So let's hear about Altars.
So this literally is an Expedition 33. I love science fiction, right? I love the ideas presented by science fiction. I know we've interacted on social media, Gene, about some of the things that work in the name of the show that I can't remember that we talk about on Apple, Severance. I knew it was going to come into my head. Yeah. And how much I enjoy that as science fiction in terms of them kind of looking at this technological idea and spinning it in their hands and thinking about the various ways it could impact people that maybe you don't think about just watching it passively. Mm-hmm. The Altars is that for video games. Video games have delved into science fiction, but primarily from the scope of a summer blockbuster. Your Armageddons, your Star Warses, whatever it might be, that is kind of the superficiality of science fiction, but not diving into the philosophical and technological questions that those things can raise. The Altars is a video game that asks the question of what makes people people. And that sounds high and mighty and putting your nose up into the air as you were doing before, Gene, but it really does do that.
This is about people who what makes people versus people.
It is that interstellar version of science fiction, 2001. Moon is a movie I don't see discussed enough that I really like, which really reflects a lot on what The Altars is. But if you don't know anything about this game, this is a combination survival and colony management sim in which you play a character that is essentially some kind of astronaut that lands on an alien world and is looking for a specific metal to help the Earth, which is in some kind of dire straits that you don't really fully understand for the bulk of the running time. You're trying to get this metal, and while you try to get this metal, bad things happen to the base that you're trying to build, and you discover that you don't have the expertise necessary to fix the base in the way that you're going to need to avoid being irradiated by the sun coming across the horizon. So what Earth tells you to do at that point, and this is very early in the game, I'm not going to spoil any of the narrative in the long run of this game for you, but what the Earth tells you to do at that point is to use the quantum computer that they put in your base for you to go and look at your life path and change some aspect of your life path to give yourself the expertise you would need to fix the base in the way that you need to fix it, and then clone a version of yourself with that life path, that memory path, that is going to have that expertise, which is great for fixing the base. But what happens as part of that process is that that person that you just cloned and created has a different life path, has a different personality, has different things that affect them in different ways. And you wind up having to do a colony management Sims type game, conversing with these various people, these alters of you to keep the base running, to do these various things, and having narrative conversations about what their different life path means, including from certain perspectives, like what discoveries they've made, what other things are happening in their reality that is all imaginary, and whether or not that affects your reality that is real. You think? I don't know. I haven't gotten to the end of this one, but this is all really interesting stuff baked into a game where, like we talked about earlier with respect to 11-bit on the whole, is immersing you in the survival and management components of it simultaneously. So the survival version is that you're running around this alien world with high-end AA graphics, right? It's not going to be confused for like the highest end of Square Enix or Ubisoft or EA or whomever, but it's very effective. It's what we would consider AAA graphics not so long ago. And you're running around trying to find minerals under the ground, whether it's the mineral you're looking for or just things to help the base, and then building up infrastructure to have those piped back into your base, and then figuring out what you're going to do with your day to get those minerals back, managing all of your colony people, which are all alternate versions of yourself, and then going and moving the base away from the sun that's coming over the horizon and is threatening to destroy everything. So you've got the survival crafting, looking around these various areas and trying to find those minerals. And then you've got the management that has you back in base, putting greenhouses in various places, putting dormitories in various places, trying to find the space, researching things like XCOM, and trying to improve your base while also talking to Earth on occasion and learning new things about this whole process. And I couldn't love it more. In all honesty, this has more narrative than it even really needs to have for the game to work. But it's focused on asking these questions, spinning this notion around in its hand in the best ways that science fiction can do. And I haven't seen a video game try to tackle this kind of thing before. And I want more and more of these games to exist, to take these big swings. It works this time. That's fantastic. Even when it doesn't work, I want publishers to be trying this kind of crap.
Yeah.
But Alters works. Check it out. It's not even a full price game. I think it's $35. So if this at all sounds interesting to you, this is one that absolutely should be on your list. I think it's going to wind up in my top 10 of the year. Right now, I haven't gotten far enough in it. I haven't beaten it yet at this point in time, but it is a stunning achievement. And yes, it's right there in the bucket of small team making crazy big swings hugely successfully, like Expedition 33.
Yeah, it's 35. It's on sale on Steam at least for 31 right now. So a little 10%
ridiculous value for this game.
So when I talked to Locke about this game, he was talking about how there could be friction between you and your other versions of yourselves. How have you found that, like handling all that stuff? He said like one of them may want to kill you or something like that.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So when you go and you look at these timelines, and one of the coolest parts about it is that the timelines are real. They're little like excerpts of what happened and what choice you made to lead you to the next point. And it's all logical. One of my favorite bits of a recent game, Dune Awakening, has this really cool introduction that takes the novel and says, well, if this happened, then this would happen, and this would have happened, and this would have happened. And this game is all about those kinds of things, these ways that your life could have been wildly different if you made this small change back in the past. And as a result, like one version of yourself would have stood up to your abusing dad, and one version of yourself would not. And this becomes a point of friction as to whether or not you will stand up to the corporation that's giving you your orders and these things. And the actual interface is not too terribly complicated. Again, it's really better to be thought of as a more AA than AAA experience. So when you're standing there, you'll always be kind of standing in the same framework. Not everybody has the same kind of acting that you might see in a full-fledged AAA game. But they will, next to their heads, put up, oh, this makes me more anxious. This makes me more irritated. This makes me gloomy, whatever it might be, as a part of the conversation. And you're trying to make things better because as a game mechanism, the happier these people are that they're getting good meals, that they're sleeping well, that you're having these conversations, the more hours in the day they will put in to getting you the minerals that you need, the research done that you need done, whatever it might be. So when they're really mad, they might go down to a 4-hour shift. And when they're really happy, they might have a 12-hour shift. And this all impacts whether or not you're going to be able to move the base away from the sun. It'll say sunrise in 3 days, whatever. And you're going through a time frame and trying to survive this thing. It's constantly tense because you almost always have a timer on you and you're trying to manage all these people. And I find it wonderful. It's this constant survival crafter kind of tension in a science fiction environment that's dealing with all these narrative questions that I didn't expect this game to even deal with. I thought it was a cool idea. I thought it was a niche idea, so I thought it would kind of be hand waved at, be the lowest possible way to deal with these things and still count as what we're describing on the box. Yeah. But it's so much more than that, and it really surprises me throughout.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I've heard nothing but good things about it, so definitely one to keep an eye on. And like you said, $35.
Yeah, no, it's not a full priced game.
Is this on Game Pass? I want to say it is.
I think Alters is on Game Pass.
Yeah. It is. Okay.
Yeah, Game Pass knocked it out of the park with some of their curation. There's no question about that. However you feel about Microsoft and Xbox, them pulling Alters and Expedition 33 into Game Pass is crazy.
They're having a good year. They have a good year this year. Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely. Okay. Let's end the show with some write-ins from the audience.
Yeah.
Okay. This is from Card Captor Corey. Hello, Summon Singers. It's time with this name change of the show. What is your favorite music-oriented game of all time?
I depends on what we mean by music-oriented.
I guess where music is a focus.
Well, you could just be like, yeah, music's a focus, and it could be like a music game like Rock Band or Guitar Hero or something like that. Parappa the Rapper.
Guitar Hero, I had a lot of great times with my fiance.
Yeah.
Back then, it was
a
little time, and we used to go to bars, and then we'd have rock band setups there. That was really cool. I don't know. I always want to say Hi-Fi Rush, but I wish the music was better in Hi-Fi Rush. That's
I want to replay Hi-Fi Rush.
I love Hi-Fi Rush. I think it's a fantastic and brilliant, genius game. I just think it's weird that they decided to choose weird rock for music as opposed to. There's a disco game that's out right now, or there's a demo of it. A disco fighting game where you upload like any of your songs, and the fight will match.
Yeah, it's like Disco is Dead, right?
Yeah, Disco is Dead. Yeah, Disco is Dead game. There you go. Dead as Disco. That's what it is.
Dead as Disco.
Yeah, I had the two words.
Yeah, Dead as Disco is a martial arts meets music video. That feels like way more my speed than Hi-Fi Rush did. I think it's weird that Hi-Fi Rush was like, "Hey, check out Billy Corgan's new music." I'm just like, what the fucking cares about Billy fucking Corgan, man? Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, maybe if it had like more original music or something.
Yeah, the original music was still very rocky and not that good.
Yeah, of course.
You know, the Nine Inch Nails track was awesome, you know, but that's because Nine Inch Nails is like more rhythm based than fucking Billy Corgan, you know. So I just don't like Smashing Pumpkins all that much. That's my
yeah.
take. I think.
Dude, Beat Saber is a really good one. I was thinking about.
Great. Beat Saber is great. Parappa the Rapper. It feels like the first game that comes up in my mind. Like General Lammy and Parappa the Rapper. Like that. Like those were just so fantastic and like revolutionary. You know, they started the whole rhythm game genre. You know,
definitely, dude.
Trombone. The trombone game was really funny. You know?
Yeah,
that was really good.
DDR, I guess, is one too.
Oh yeah.
Tetris Effect. I'm sorry, Tetris Effect.
That's a great one.
No, I take it all back. Tetris Effect is my favorite music-oriented game.
Tetris Effect is awesome. Let's go Luminous. That's going to be great.
Yeah, Luminous, dude, Tetris Effect, both of those.
I was with Dustin when he played that at Summer Game Fest, and he looked so happy playing it.
No, dude.
Luminous.
I was so happy to see that.
I'm going to answer something different than Luminous, actually. First of all, I am going to interpret the question to mean specifically musical focused, as you did. There are a lot of musical moments that I love. The one that I always go back to for musical moments is the opera scene in Final Fantasy VI.
Of course,
I had a save in front of that for my entire young life because I loved it so much. And in terms of Final Fantasy, there's a lot of moments like that. I love Find the Flame from Final Fantasy 16. That hits hard every time I see it. But for a musical specifically, I like a deep cut here that I'm not sure many people have played. I like a game called Stray Gods, the role-playing musical.
Oh, yeah, I know that game. Yeah.
It's essentially about Greek gods living in modern times that sing all their feelings in all these various scenes. But the coolest part is that it reacts to all of your choices and changes the lyrics depending on what you're doing. And all of the songs are really well sung, even though the musicality of them is a little bit more operatic in part, so it's not always going to be as melodic as people like. But I really like that game. I like a lot about what they did with the characters. And as a dad, it's always important to me. My daughter, who loves mythology, adored that game. So that holds a special place in my heart. So I'm going to go with Stray Gods as the answer to this question.
Cool.
One thing I forgot to bring up during the Wind Waker conversation, Wind Waker is very musical. You mentioned the parry, which is like OP, but like, what was cool about Wind Waker is that every time you hit or an enemy, it was like dun 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 dun. You know, I loved that. Like one of my favorite moments in gaming was one of the final fights where the music was just kind of just like crashing, and like I was so high. And like my sword play was matching with the music, you know, like dun dun dun, and like hitting the bats also like matched the music too. And I was just like, oh, this is just perfect, like synchronicity between like audios and visual and gameplay. And I was like, I love video games so much, and it's amazing that Zelda is giving me this amazing moment right now too. So
and since we talked about it earlier in terms of musical moments, I do want to point out that one of the reasons I got to that emotional place with Death Stranding 1 was when they play a certain song very close to the end of that game, it gets you right in the heart. And Hideo Kojima is really good at picking those musical drops out.
Yeah, he is.
Be prepared for a lot of that in Death Stranding 2.
Oh, make me feel alive again, Hideo.
He knows that shit was really good in DS1, and he was like, wait a minute. What if I did it way more and way better? There's so much music in Death Stranding 2. It's incredible.
All right, this is from KB. Hey, gents. How do you feel about companies using X number of players played our game as a key metric of success? The reason I ask is because the online discourse often treats that stats as if it's equivalent to units sold, which feels incredibly disingenuous. Take Microsoft, for example. They recently touted that 3 million players played the Dark Ages, but what does that actually mean? Are we talking about people who actively engage with the game, or just anyone who launched the executable once? It feels like a smokescreen, a new kind of fog of war being used to shape the narrative. Contrast that with Claire Expedition 33, which also launched day one on Game Pass. Instead of leaning on inflated engagement numbers, they reported actual units sold 3.3 million. They easily could have gone with the players played metric, which no doubt would have been significantly higher, but they didn't, and they honestly spoke volumes. Do you guys see this as a legitimate shift in how success is measured, or is it just corporate bluster? Thanks. A lot of companies do this, not just Microsoft. Sony's been actually doing this as well with MAUs and stuff.
Yeah, I want to say two things on this, and people can discard me immediately as the corporate lawyer in the room here. But what's happening is both, right? Obviously, the higher number is more useful from a PR perspective in some regards, but it's really about where the businesses think they make money. Right. So PlayStation and Microsoft are monitoring that monthly active user stat, that MAU stat more now, because that brings in the dollars, the recurring revenue kind of concept for them. If you're active in the game, they can sell you the Diablo expansion pass or the horse armor or whatever. They keep track of that number. So that's the one that's more readily available for their PR to put out there anyway. If you are Sandfall, if you're Kepler, and you're selling units of Expedition 33, you care more about what you sold in the first place. And that's why that number comes out to you. Yes, I agree that certainly in the way that we thought about what is successful in the past, that sold through kind of number is more important for the conversation. And too many people don't read what's actually put in front of them other than the big number. And that creates all of this kind of obfuscation and unclarity in these situations. But I really don't think it's straight up dishonesty. I really don't think it's intended as fraud. It really is the fact that these bigger companies are more concerned about what an active user is in most of their properties. And that's what's going to be the easier number for them to just pop out and put on a graphic of some kind.
Gene, any thoughts on this?
I will lean it a little bit stronger. And the thing is that like I kind of agree that sometimes talking about the size of your audience is great, right? And if all that was true, like for example, Dark Ages or even Kojima, again, using 20 million porters as the metric for the success of Death Stranding, right? Which was on Game Pass, it was on iOS, it's everywhere, right? I don't trust companies to be honest with what that metric actually means because of how burned I was with Facebook. Because Facebook would keep telling us, again, I used to be a social media editor at the Washington Post, so I work with Facebook directly. And then they'll be telling like, oh, you got like 20 million views on this video, And then we would come to find out later, it's just people scrolling past it. They didn't even watch it at all. So I don't put it past these companies at all to be fraudulent, to be like, they just launched the file and the exe file and just turned it off, or played it for like an hour and then pull the dust in and just refund the Game Pass right away or something. Dark Age is not for me. And I'll just refund Game Pass right away. I don't put it past them, and I'm almost 1,000% sure that that's probably what's going on. Is that it probably is just people launching the game and they're like, well, we got engagement though. It's engagement,
100%.
On the other hand, though, I think the focus on how much a game has sold is just too much. Like, stop fucking pocket watching. You're not the board of directors. Stop trying to fucking talk like it. Who cares? I think Colin focuses on that shit too much too. That's one of the I love sacred symbols. I'm a fan of sacred symbols. That's one of my most irritating things about sacred symbols is that sometimes all they talk about is like the numbers, and I'm like, I wish you guys would just talk about the game itself sometimes.
That's why we got this show, dude.
Exactly. That's why Summon Sign's here.
That's why we got Summon Sign.
You got some singy,
Yeah.
I completely grant your position, Gene, that they could actually inflate some of this stuff with that. I just think it's more likely, certainly in financial statements, when we talk about when they're pulling numbers from things that we can otherwise see that are bounded by ethics and legal reasons to not lie about, that it still is important for those companies to be putting out active user kind of concepts, not just people that once touched the game or it passed through their Facebook feed. But I just want people to understand that that's not the concept of moving to people that played the game versus people that bought the game is not in and of itself the fraud that you're talking about for kind of expanding that notion of what an active user is. When you talk about a porter, when you talk about a player, you don't need to meet those same kind of financial constraints. I'm just not sure that switching from sold through to something else is in and of itself an indicia of fraud.
Yeah.
Well, I got you.
I think numbers are interesting and I like hearing them, but I think people use it as a weapon too much.
That's where I'm at. It's good to know what the numbers are. Like I like knowing.
I think we're all guilty of this to an extent, but
yeah, of course. I mean, it's always good to know about numbers, but sometimes I just feel like they're either too much of a focus, and yes, they're weaponized to weird degrees. It's strange.
All right, this is from Brett the Shitman Fart.
Oh yeah. I heard this on Sacred Symbols. That's a good one. That's a great one.
Hello, Summon Sisters. Yeah. I recently beat Wind Waker for what feels like the 100th time. This run was on the NSO app, and I had a blast. Despite such a good time, I could really feel how deeply unfinished the game is. Are there any other games you love despite feeling cut to shreds? Thanks, and have a pain-free day. Wow.
Yeah, I think this one is easy for me. I really like a lot of Metal Gear Solid 5. It did not survive the process of completion.
You are correct, Hoeg.
That's probably the only answer, honestly.
That's a good one. You could say Xenogears as well.
Oh,
yes. The rocking chair. Yeah, that's a good choice.
Xenogears is another good one too. Expedition 33.
Elaborate.
Act 3 was the final act. It's just like it just kind of happens, and you're just like, okay, well, just finish the game then.
I don't know, Gene. I got a lot of crap for saying I thought Act 3 was cut from the game. A lot of people said I was just guessing.
I disagree with you a lot on a lot of things, Hoeg, but that one was not something I disagree with you on. I was like, I can kind of see that there's a lot there that just doesn't happen in Act 3, and it's like, like Maddie was, I listened to both spoiler casts very intensely, right? And I'm not going to spoil anything about the game. I'm just talking about the broad view. But Maddie was talking about how, the 30 hours is like perfect, as opposed to like Metaphor, which goes on for way too long, right? And I'm like, I think Metaphor needed that runtime, and if anything, I think Expedition 33 could have used more hours to and it would address like the issues that you or like all three of you or everyone had issues with in terms of like, oh, the story just kind of happened,
Yeah.
If the game was longer, then I think it would just have a lot more meat on its bones,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think Act 3 was pulled from the game, but
hopefully that wasn't too spoilery on Expedition 33.
Yeah.
All right. This is from Don't Touch Me There. Touch Me Here instead. Hey, guys. He wrote YouTuber voice. Hey, guys. At the end of May, Ubisoft tweeted an old photo of Sam Fisher from Splinter Cell cutscene and hashtagged it. What does this mean? Could it be that Ubisoft has finally made progress on the remake of Splinter Cell 1? I gotta say, I sure as hell hope not. What I really want is a port of the HD trilogy from the PS3/360 and for them to bring forward Conviction and Blacklist as well. I think Ubisoft is far too woke of a company to tell a compelling story in the country of Georgia that tackles terrorism, ethnic cleansing, and the radical political views. My fear is that they've been trying to retool a story and a lot of its motivations that will be watered down by their employees with colored hair and a diazepam prescription. Anyways, I'll hang up and listen now. I haven't played Splinter Cell, so I don't really know.
Really? You never played Splinter Cell?
Dude, I missed the whole... Well, I didn't have an Xbox, so I missed a lot of it till later.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And I was in the Metal Gear camp, and I was just like, fuck Splinter Cell. I was like way too fanboy about Metal Gear over Splinter Cell.
I don't know about any of the extra context in that commenter's statements, but I think that the picture of Sam Fisher on Instagram is Ubisoft saying, remember, we're working on a Splinter Cell remake, and that's all you can take from that. Not progress, not what direction they might go with it. Just remember, we announced this. You probably forgot. We want you to know Sam Fisher is here. Our company is having some financial issues.
Yeah, don't worry. We're also remaking Prince of Persia. That's still going on too for several years too. We're busy. I swear we're so busy. We're making all these games. We love you, and we're making the games that you love. We just don't know when they're ever going to come out, and maybe they never will.
Yeah, but
don't hold out for Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Yeah. In terms of the story, I guess just from. I have no idea. I have no context of the story, but do you think Ubisoft will kind of fuck it up, or do you think they'll stay true to it?
No, not really. I don't think it seems like a silly thing to change the plot of Splinter Cell. It's not really that plot focused, and you've already got to have these specific set pieces and these specific mission boards to actually make to call it a remake. Mm-hmm. So I don't see them changing a ton there, but Ubisoft sometimes zigs when I think they're going to zag. So
yeah,
I would be surprised if they changed a lot.
Yeah, for me, I've been on record in saying that I think Ubisoft has the worst writers in the AAA games industry. So whatever they do, I think it will probably be stupid and not make sense. It doesn't matter if it's woke or not, And I took that back when Assassin's Creed Valhalla came out, and I was like, oh, this game is actually really well written. But that's because they had one of the good writers for Assassin's Creed working on that. And then he left, and then so now we got Assassin's Creed Shadows, which is just a shitty fucking story, And it's like right
I'm just
back
thinking
to
about this.
Right back to Ubislop. That's what it is.
Slop, yeah,
Oh,
Ubislop.
No. Yeah, I'm just thinking about this, and I'm like, you might be right, Gene. I'm trying to think of other companies that have kind of that same level of inert writing.
Yeah,
Ubisoft doesn't bug me that much, but there is nothing that gets you out of bed in the morning to listen to.
There's nothing. Yeah, it's slop in the truest sense. So it's just like, oh, here is a motivation. Here's a problem. Watch Dogs Legion. I tried to praise it a couple weeks ago, and I still think the game is kind of fun. But like, it's just like, oh my god, London is dystopia, and Facebook is taking over everything, and oh my god, they're arresting all the illegal immigrants because they're just looking outside. I'd say, oh, we should make a game about that. About Brexit.
I think you might be right.
Yeah.
Okay, my instinct is I want to say like EA, but I think Ubisoft is probably worse.
Yeah. Because EA at least has Joseph Fares, and Joseph Fares can spin a pretty good tale. So.
Oh, do they get credit for their publishing partners?
I guess. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. But Ubisoft just hasn't really written a really great story in a while. So I don't know what they'll do with Splinter Cell, but hopefully the gameplay is good and not just repetitive. Mm-hmm. Oh my god, dude! I don't know if I want Ubisoft to remake Splinter Cell. Honestly, I wish they would just. They need to just re-release the games, make them work well on PC.
That's the ideal. Yeah, re-release them. But if you want to remake it, re-release the old ones at least.
Re-release the old ones. Give really good controller support for Chaos Theory. For fuck's sake, Chaos Theory doesn't have really good controller support on the PC.
Mm-hmm.
Just do that, please. For fuck's sake, just re-release Chaos Theory and just call it a day.
Yeah. All right,
let's do this one. Good one.
Let's do this one real quick. Our last write-in. I am Jack Nipple wrote in. Hey guys, Gene made a comment last week about Sarah Blade's Eve. He asked, why is she British or something along those lines? Do people have some kind of distaste for British actors and games? Gene isn't the first person to make comments like this. I hear these types of comments all the time from some LSM members and other podcasters, usually regarding Dragon Quest voice actors and the Xenoblade voice actors. I personally love women's British accent. I'm wondering, is there something wrong with the British accent in fantasy games? Or is it just some small joke from games media people?
No, it's just that it's just become the default British. It's just the default fantasy voice. Fucking Expedition 33 is French, and they got British people on there. You got Ben Starr trying to mispronouncing French words in there because he's not French, he's British.
Yeah.
Xenoblade works because they did it through a British casting agency, and Xenoblade 2 especially works because each country will have its own dialect from UK, which is interesting.
Yeah, I think in terms of Stellar Blade, Gene is just like these are Korean characters.
These are Korean characters.
Very Korean to me.
These are Asian chicks. Why is Adam? Well, Adam wasn't British. He was just some fucking dopey American dude, right? But it's like,
why is Adam there? Is the question?
Yeah, why is Adam there in the first place? This fucking dumbass character. So.
But I don't know, man. It's not like I needed him to have a Korean accent or anything like that. I guess it's just kind of like you're saying, like everyone.
Yeah, I think
British accent. And it works really well in some things.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And it didn't really bother me in Expedition 33, but I noticed it. I was like, why is everyone British? Why is no one French,
Yeah.
Why is Maëlle British? But she's saying, I'm God,
Yeah. Any thoughts, Hoeg, on this?
No, I think I agree with Gene. I do agree that it tends to be the default for this is an accent that people can accept, that they kind of like, but is exotic. It's not America in the 21st century. So we're going to put a British accent on. I do think some of this goes back to Xenoblade Chronicles coming over, because that, if I remember correctly, was not going to be adopted by Nintendo of America and was by Nintendo of Europe. That's why we got the British actors. Is that right? Is that the right history there?
Yeah.
That sounds, yeah.
So I remember being somewhat surprised to hear the voice acting when I finally got to play Xenoblade Chronicles. And then that seems to have been adopted, certainly across that series, but by other game companies that are making games in the fantasy, or as it turns out with Stellar Blade, the science fiction genres.
Yeah.
And I agree that it can be a little much. I think British accents tend to be used to impart a sense of seriousness more than modern American accents. You see this in television and the way that certain places try to put British accents to mean authoritative or smart.
Or classy, right? Yeah.
Or classy, yeah, absolutely. And so I do think it's a bit much there, but I also have to admit that even as an American, it strikes me as odd when you're playing a fantasy game or you're watching a high fantasy type TV show on one of the prestige streamers at this point, and somebody sounds like they're modern and you could have met them in the elevator.
Yeah.
So I do like that bit of separation, and British accent is the closest that you can get while to an American audience of sounding different, but still understandable.
I mean, imagine if Ben Starr voiced Joel Miller in The Last of Us, Oi, Ellie, oi, Ellie, don't go there, oi,
Ben Starr taking
I'm
up
from
the right
Austin,
to Kratos.
Texas, oi.
Yeah. It's funny. All right.
Jennifer English as Ellie.
That's right.
Yeah.
Don't give him any ideas. Naughty Dog will make it.
Shut the fuck up, Joel.
Naughty Dog will make Anglo edition, Gene. Do you watch
Oh, there you go.
edition.
There you go. Yeah, the Anglo-Saxon edition. Yes.
All right. We're out of here, everybody. Thank you for hanging out with us. Hoeg, Gene, thank you for joining me.
Absolutely.
I'm very excited. It's Death Stranding Eve. We're going to be playing soon. Me and Hoeg are.
Can't
so
wait
we'll
to
join
see you guys play
Gene
it.
and Bliss.
Yeah.
I am so ready.
Yes. It's going to be good. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Take care and goodbye. Summon Sign is a product of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC and is proudly recorded in the USA. The show is written and hosted by me, Brad Ellis. The show is produced by Dustin Furman. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. Summon Sign, along with the rest of Last Stand's media shows, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer level on Patreon, our highest tier, and we are grateful for your kind contribution and generosity to our independent endeavor. Thank you.